जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Thank you once again, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, for kindly being the host for today's 20th session on Shri Caitanya-Siksastakam. I'm also very thankful to our co-host Param Prabhu and to all of you wonderful devotees who have joined in from all around the world. And also I'm thankful to the devotees who are watching the recording of all of these sessions on YouTube. Thank you very much for being a part of this journey on exploring Shri Caitanya-Siksastakam in great detail. Dear devotees, today will be the final part of the first verse, and we'll be concluding the first verse today. So let us begin the 20th session on Shri Caitanya-Siksastakam. Dear devotees, before we proceed, I'd once again like to offer this verse, and this is the last time that this verse will be offered, because next time we'll begin with a new verse, and next time we'll also have a new composition for introducing the new verse. So dear devotees, this is the verse which was composed for this first verse of Shri Caitanya Siksastakam. Siksashtakaamritabdhau yo majjanmajjayati swakan sagaurangastatastham mam kadabdhau krakshyati swayam. While drowning himself, Shri Gauranga simultaneously causes his near and dear ones to drown in the nectar ocean of Siksastakam. I am a mere bystander waiting at the shore. When will Shri Gauranga forcibly pull me in that nectar ocean? Dear devotees, just like every time, we have a fresh realization on Shri Harinam, and this particular realization comes from a compilation of glorifications on Shri Harinam named Bhagwan Nam Mahatmya Sangraha, a wonderful verse. Kvatyaksharam Harer Nama Spulinga Sadrisham Jwalat Mahatam Patakanam Cha Rashistulopama Kvacha. Kva Vyaksharam Harer Nama. Where is the two-syllabled Harinam? Two syllables, Ha and Ri. Spulinga Sadrisham Jwalat. And this two-syllabled Harinam is comparable to a blazing spark of fire. Mahatam Patakanam Cha Rashis Tula Upama Kvacha. And where is the sum totality of all great sins? Comparable to a cotton heap. Dear devotees, this verse compares Sri Harinam with a blazing spark of fire, and one small spark of fire is sufficient to completely burn to ashes a big heap of cotton. Similarly, dear devotees, one Bhagwan Nam, one name of Bhagwan, is capable of destroying all sinful reactions that have been committed in the past. And dear devotees, this is the power of Sri Harinam as mentioned in this particular verse. However, we see that such quality of Nam is often not uttered by most sadhakas, most practitioners. This is because it is very difficult for sadhakas to realize the potency of Sri Harinam. It is very easy to indulge in explaining Shastras. It is easy. It's not easy to explain Shastras, but relatively it's easier to explain Shastras. It is easier to understand them. it is easier to perform so many other limbs of bhakti. But to utter Sri Harinam in that particular state of mind which leads to Uttama Bhakti, Shuddha Bhakti, it is very, very difficult. Therefore, it takes not only practice, but it also takes time, and it takes realization which is obtained in association with the sadhus. And only then is one able to utter the name in a pure state of mind with the required attitude, and that particular name is capable of destroying all sinful reactions. This is the first verse, and I'll sing it. Cheto darpanam bhavamaha davagni nirvapanam Shreyah kairav chandrika vitaranam vidyavadhu jivanam Anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam Purnamrita swadanam Sarvatmasnaparam param vijayate Śrī-kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. Dear devotees, this verse originally taken from Padyavali and quoted in Chaitanya Charitamritam Antyalila, chapter 20, verse number 12. And we have seen the Anvay many times, but I'll request Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu to read the highlighted portion, the translation once again.
That entity, named Śrī-kṛṣṇa-Saṅkīrtanam, reigns supremely victorious.
So that entity, named śrī-kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam, reigns supremely victorious, and we are discussing this particular part. Dear devotees, in the previous session, we compared various manuscript readings of the Kali-Santarana Upanishad. We were looking for the Hare Krishna Mahamantra beginning with Hare Krishna first. And Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, did we find Hare Krishna first in the manuscripts that we looked at?
Some of them.
In the Kali-Santarana Upanishad manuscripts.
Right, usually Hare Rama first.
Yeah, we saw Hare Ram first. It is possible that some manuscripts may have Hare Krishna first, but the ones we had access to, we found Hare Ram first. Then we also found Mahamantra with Hare Krishna first, as mentioned in the Brahmanda Puran, and I could only get one copy of that particular Puran, but thankfully it is a printed edition, and we found the Mahamantra with Hare Krishna first in that particular Puran. Then we also saw the Mahamantra as mentioned in Sanat Kumar Samhita and other literature. Then we also saw the 14 stages of progress on the path of bhakti as given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And then we did a comparison of the 7 characteristics of Śrī-kṛṣṇa-Saṅkīrtanam to the 14 stages of progress on the path of bhakti. After all of this, dear devotees, there is one very important literature in relation to the Siksastakam which needs to be discussed, and that particular literature is given, dear devotees, Chaitanya Charitamritam itself and Bhajan Rahasya. The Chaitanya Charitamritam summarizes the first verse of Siksastakam, and this summary is given by Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami himself. So we should hear the explanation of the first verse of Siksastakam in the words of Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and then we'll move ahead to the Bhajan Rahasyam of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahasaya. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in simple Bangla language, explains the first verse of Shri Siksastakam. Sankirtana haite papa samsara nashana Chitta Shuddhi Sarva Bhakti Sadhana Udgama Krishna Premodgama Prema Mrita asvadana Krishna prapti sevamrita Samudre majjana. Translation: Sankirtan destroys sinful material existence. Dear devotees, this is a translation of Cheto Darpan Marjanam. It cleanses the heart and is the cleanses the heart is Bhavamaha Davagni Nirvapanam. It is the birthplace of all forms of bhakti practices. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. It awakens Krishna Prem, Vidyavadhu Jivanam, and causes full relishment of that Prem. Anandam Buddhivardhanam, Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam, and ultimately it makes one achieve Shri Krishna and get fully drowned in the ocean of his service. Sarvatma Snapanam. The devotees, this is a summary of the first verse of Shri-Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam in the words of Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So, a rough translation of the first verse in Bangla poetry by Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami himself. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains the first verse in great detail in his Bhajan Rahasya. Dear devotees, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has specified that the 8 yamas, and what is yamas? Yam is a particular unit of time, a particular section of the day, and Gaudiya Vaishnavas who are dedicated to bhajan, who are dedicated to deep practice of their Krishna Bhakti, they engage in Ashtayam sadhana or worship of Bhagwan 24 hours a day, remembrance of Bhagwan 24 hours a day. But we need to understand what is this sort of worship before we move ahead. Dear devotees, first and foremost, I'll clarify something in order to make the subject matter very clear. There is a unit of time known as Danda. Danda is a time unit which is equivalent to 24 minutes in the modern clock. Previously, when modern clock was not there, time was measured in various units. Nimisha, Kshana, Danda is one such unit. When we compare it to modern time units, one Danda is equal to 24 minutes. And two Dandas are known as one Muhurta, which is 48 minutes. If we see the total number of minutes in a day is 1440, 24 hours into 60 minutes. So we have 1440 minutes in 24 hours. And number of dandas in one complete day, therefore, is 1440 divided by 24 because there are 24 minutes in one danda. And there are 1440 minutes in a day. So total number of dandas in a day is 60 and total number of muhurtas in a day is 30. So we have 60 dandas and 30 muhurtas in one complete day. So this is the time calculation. We just need to remember one thing, that there are 60 dandas or 30 muhurtas within 24 hours of the day. And in these 24 hours, we need to always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. Please try to understand. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So we need to spend our 60 dandas of time remembering Sri Krishna, and therefore the acharyas have made a sadhan paddhati, a method of sadhan in which we can remember Sri Krishna and all his associates for 24 hours of the day. The acharyas have divided, Srila Rupa Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami have divided time into yamas, 8 divisions of the day. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that every verse of the Siksastakam corresponds to every yama or pastimes within every part of the day. So there are 8 yamas, 8 divisions of the day, and this is known as Ashtayama, 8 yam sadhana. The first yam is known as Nishanta Lila. And in this Leela, dear devotees, there are 6 dandas or 144 minutes. According to modern clock, this is from 3:36 a.m. to 6 a.m. roughly. Dear devotees, if you calculate the minutes, it is 144 minutes. And this particular time is 6 dandas, because as I said, one danda is 24 minutes. So if you multiply 24 by 6, you get 144 minutes. And this is in modern clock 3:36 a.m. to 6 a.m. The second yam is Pratah Leela. Nishanta, by the way, is pre-morning or before sunrise. So that is Nishanta Leela, end of night, but sunrise has not yet occurred. Pratah Leela is when sunrise occurs. 6 dandas again, 144 minutes, 6 a.m. to 8:24 a.m. roughly according to modern clock. Then Purvahana, pre-noon. Pre-noon Leela is also 6 dandas, 144 minutes, 8:24 a.m. to 10:48 a.m. This is known as Purvahana, pre-noon Leela. Then there is Madhya Ahana, noon, proper noon. This is a long duration of time, 12 dandas, 288 minutes. This lasts from 10:48 a.m. to 3:36 p.m. approximately in the modern clock. Then there is Aparahana Leela. There is late noon. And this late noon is again 6 dandas, 144 minutes, 3:36 p.m. to 6 p.m. Then there is Sayahana Leela. Sayahana is evening. And again 6 dandas, 144 minutes, 6 p.m. to 8:24 p.m. Then there is Pradosh Leela. Pradosh Leela, dear devotees, is just before night, just before midnight. This is again 6 dandas, 144 units, 8:24 p.m. to 10:48 p.m. And Nakta, proper night Leela, is again 12 dandas long, 288 minutes, 10:48 p.m. to 3:36 a.m. We started from 3:36 a.m. and we ended at 3:36 a.m. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, total how many hours did we cover?
The whole day and night, 24.
24 hours, 1,440 minutes,
Yep.
a total of 60 dandas and a total of 8 yamas. Dear devotees, please keep this table handy with you whenever you need. This is Ashtayam. These are the 8 divisions of the day, because all divisions are not the same. Some divisions have 6 dandas, some divisions have 12 dandas. So afternoon, which is noon, mid-noon, and night both have 12 dandas. All other yamas have 6 dandas respectively, and they have been divided as shown in the table. In each of these yamas, a different leela, a different pastime takes place, and Shri Krishna as well as Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu perform various pastimes in these various times of the day, and accordingly the Gaudiya Vaishnavas have written manuals, have composed manuals in their samadhi to understand what pastimes are going on in which part of the day or night. And those particular pastimes are recommended by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahashay in his Bhajan Rahasya. Because those who are serious about bhajan, they know that when they are performing Śrī-kṛṣṇa-Saṅkīrtanam, automatically Smaranam will also happen. And Smaranam happens automatically when it is properly cultivated. The devotee Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur gives us hints as to how we can properly cultivate that Smaran. Right now we are on the first verse of Shri-Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam, and Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, the first verse corresponds to the first yam. And what is the time for the first yam?
3:36 a.m. to 6 a.m.
So 3:36 a.m. to 6 a.m. is the time that we have to focus upon. And the first verse of the Shiksastakam corresponds to Nishanta Leela, which is in this particular part of the time. What is Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu doing in this particular period of time? What are Shri Radha Krishna doing in this particular duration of time? So we have to understand these things from the previous acharyas. But dear devotees, I will not explain all the details of the pastimes, because ideally these pastimes need to be heard from a Shiksha Guru, and there are many esoteric details in these pastimes. So I am hiding the esoteric details. I am giving the basic details of these pastimes so that we can at least have a glimpse into what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Mahasaya was expecting from us when he wrote Bhajan Rahasya, especially as a commentary on Shri Caitanya Siksastakam. So the Bhajan Rahasya is an in-depth commentary on Shri Caitanya Siksastakam, and the first verse corresponds to Nishant Leela. Dear devotees, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also gives us another detail. He says that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra has 16 words. Hare Krishna, 4 words. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, again 4 words. Hare Rama, 4 words. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, 4 words. Total 16 words. And you can divide these 16 words into 8 couplets. So first Hare Krishna is the first couplet, then Hare Krishna is the second couplet, Krishna Krishna is the third couplet, Hare Hare is the fourth couplet, Hare Ram is the fifth couplet, Hare Ram is the sixth couplet, Ram Ram is the seventh couplet, and Hare Hare is the eighth couplet. Dear devotees, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that in the Mahamantra, each couplet also corresponds to each verse in the Siksastakam and each pastime within the Ashtayam sadhana. This secret has been given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur to us. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Hare Krishna Sholanam Ashtayugahaya Ashtayuga Arthe Ashta Shloka Prabhukaya. Hare Krishna Sholanam. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra consists of 16 names and Ashta Yuga and 8 couplets. Each couplet consists of 2 names. Ashta Yuga Arthe Ashta Shloka Prabhupada. For explaining the meaning of these 8 couplets, Mahaprabhu has uttered 8 verses of Shri Siksastakam. This Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's verse in the Bhajan Rahasya, dear devotees. Adi Hare Krishna Arthe Avidyadamana Shraddhar Sahit Krishna Nam Sankirtanam. Adi, the first couplet is Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, Adi Hare Krishna, the first couplet Hare Krishna indicates that faithful execution of Nam Sankirtan, Shraddhar Sahit Krishna Nam Sankirtan, what does it do? Destroys all avidya. Cheto Darpana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. So the first couplet, Hare Krishna, consists of the seed of the first verse of Shri Siksastakam. This is what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Mahasaya indicates here. Then, dear devotees, he's also indicating here, you can see Shraddhar Sahit. It's also indicating the first stage of bhakti, that Shraddha develops, dear devotees. Then further he says, Ara Hare Krishna Nam Krishna Sarva Shakti Sadhu Sange Ramashray Bhajananurati. The second couplet, Hare Krishna, indicates that Krishna's names have all potencies invested in them. We'll come across the second verse, Nam Nam Akari Bahudha Nija Sarva Shaktis. All potencies are invested in Krishna now. And in this stage, Sadhu Sange Namashraya Bhajan Anurakti. One takes shelter of these names in the association of sadhus. So, Adau Shraddha Tataha Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha is also mentioned here, and Bhajan Kriya, which leads to Bhajan Anurakti, which leads to the third stage of progress. And continuing this, Seita Bhajan Krame Sarvanarthanash Anarthapagame Name Nishthar Vikash. While executing genuine bhajan kriya, sarva anarthanash, all anarthas are destroyed. And anarthapagame, when anarthas are destroyed, name nishthar vikas, the stage of nishtha rises. Dear devotees, this is what happens with the second Hare Krishna couplet. Dear devotees, then he says, Pritiye vishuddha bhakta charitre rasaha krishna krishna name nishtha kare ahara. Third couplet, Krishna Krishna, indicates constant execution of Nishtha bhajan. You're on the stage of Nishtha, and what are you doing in that stage? Vishuddha Bhakta Charitre Rasaha. You're hearing the character of pure devotees, and Name Nishtha, you're hearing Krishna's name with deep faith, you're hearing Krishna's character, etc. So, this is the stage of Nishtha. Chaturthe ta ahaitu ki Bhakti Uddipana Ruchi Saha Hare Hare Nam Sankirtana. The fourth couplet, Hare Hare, leads to the awakening of causeless bhakti, and you get the stage of Ruchi, dear devotees. Then, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Panchame te Shuddha Dasya Ruchira Sahita Hare Ram Sankirtana Smarana Vihita. The fifth couplet, Hare Ram, indicates a feeling of Shuddha Dasya, pure Dasya Ras, along with the previous stage of Ruchi and the execution of Sankirtan with Smarana. Dear devotees, gradually Asakti, gradually we are coming to the stage of deep attachment towards Bhagwan. Shashthe bhavankure hare rameti kirtana samsare aruchi krishne ruchi samarpana. The sixth couplet, Hare Ram, indicates the sprouting of bhav, complete disinterest in the world and complete ruchi in Krishna. Dear devotees, ruchi is complete, bhav arises in the sixth couplet. We have arrived at the stage of bhav. Sixth couplet is Hare Ram. Seventh couplet, Saptame madhura sakti Radha padashraya Vipralambhe Rama Rama Namera Udaya. The seventh couplet, Ram Ram, indicates complete shelter at the feet of Sri Radha. Previously it was saying Dasya, servitude. But whose servitude? Sri Radha's servitude. In this stage, one utters Nam in a mood of separation because one wants to support the mood of Sri Radha, and therefore one utters Nam in the mood of separation. Ashtame vrajete ashta Kal Gopi Bhav Radha Krishna Prem Seva Prayojana La. Finally, the eighth final couplet, Hare Hare, indicates the attainment of the mood of a gopi and the attainment of the final goal of loving eternal service of Shri Radha Krishna. This is the stage of Prema, dear devotees. What is the meaning of dividing the Mahamantra into these 8 couplets and then saying it goes from Shraddha to Prema? Dear devotees, the hidden meaning here is that in a single Mahamantra, a newcomer can perfect his life. This is the meaning. The minimum required Mahamantra in order to perfect one's life is 1. This is the indication given by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahasaya. That in the first couplet, Shraddha can happen. In the second couplet, Bhajan Kriya can happen. In the third couplet, Nishtha can happen. In the fourth couplet, Ruchi. Fifth couplet, Asakti. Sixth couplet, deeper Asakti. Seventh couplet, there is shelter at the feet of Radha, Bhava. Eighth couplet, Prema. In this way, in a single Mahamantra, you can go from Shraddha to Prema. This is the hidden meaning as given here by Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Mahasaya. So, we have to understand that a single Mahamantra is capable of performing all of these things. In the verse, dear devotees, there is Śrī-kṛṣṇa-Saṅkīrtanam. Sankirtanam is a singular case. Sarvatma snapanam param vijayate śrī-kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. Sankirtanam is singular case, so it can refer either to one instance of Sankirtan, and it can also refer to the entirety of the process of Sankirtan. But at its bare minimum, it refers to one instance of Śrī-kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. So one instance of śrī-kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam can give Cheto Darpana Marjanam, Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam, Vidya Vadhu Jivanam, and all the other characteristics. Sarvatma Snapanam, all the way till Sarvatma Snapanam. Because Śrī-kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam, the main term is singular case. And singular case means one instance is enough to give all of these effects. Dear devotees, as Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur had said, the first verse of Shri Siksastakam indicates the first yam. I told what is yam. Yam is a division of the day. So I'll not be explaining this term again. I hope all of you had a proper look at the table when it was being shown. The first yam indicates Nishanta Leela. Nishanta Leela means pre-sunrise. And that particular Leela, when the sun has not yet arisen, but morning is about to begin, that particular Leela, when the birds start chirping, that is known as Nishanta Leela. And our Acharya Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells us what Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu does in all the 8 yams. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he sings, Ratriyante shayanotthita surasarit snato babhau yah prageye purvane svaganairlasatyupavane tairbhati madhyanike yah puryam aparahnake nijagrihe sayam grihe thangane Śrīvāsasya nishamukhe nishivasan gaurasano rakshatu. Ratriyante, at the end of the night, in the first yam, that is just before sunrise, what does Mahaprabhu do? Shayanothitaha, he wakes up from bed, dear devotees. So Mahaprabhu wakes up from bed at around 3:36 a.m. And this is his Grihastha Leela. This is his Leela in the Grihastha ashram in Navadvip. And Surasarit Snatau Babhau Yah Prage, in the second yam morning around 6 a.m. he bathes in the Ganga. Dear devotees, so as I had specified previously, in earlier days bathing time was after sunrise. It was not before sunrise. Nowadays, we have bathing before sunrise because we have the facility of water flowing inside our home in a tap. But when this artificial arrangement was not present, the natural arrangement was to go take a bath in the river. And it is not recommended to go to the river before sunrise. Therefore, after sunrise, Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu would go take a bath in the Ganga. And all devotees are also, in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, it recommends bathing in the river after sunrise. Before sunrise, one can wash one's hands and feet and begin Śrī-kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam. This is specified in the Hari Bhakti Vilas. Anyways, Purvahane Swaganair Lasati, in the third yam, early noon, Lasati, he appears effulgent in various courtyards along with his associates. Tairbhati Madhyanike, in the fourth yam, in noon, he enjoys various pastimes with them. Yah Puryam Aparanike, in the fifth yam, early evening, he roams around in Navadvip. Nijagrihe Sayam, in the sixth yam, evening, he returns home. Grihe Thangane Shrivasasya, in the seventh yam, dusk, he goes to Srivasangan and performs Sankirtan there. And Nishamukhe Nishivasan, and returns home in the eighth yam at night. Gaurah Sano Rakshatu, may that Gaura Chaitanya Mahaprabhu protect all of us. So this is Mahaprabhu Ashtakaliya Leela Smaran Mangal Stotram by Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. It is attributed to him. Dear devotees, it specifies the pastimes that Mahaprabhu performs in all the 8 yamas. But what are the specific pastimes that Mahaprabhu performs in the first yam, in the Nishanta Leela? This also he specifies. Sri Mahaprabhu in the first yam performs the following pastimes. Ratriyante pikakukutadininadam Shrutva svatalpothita Shri Vishnu Priyaya Samam Rasakatha Sambhashya Santoshyata Gatvanyatra Darasano Parivasan Swadbhi Sudhautanano Yo Matradivirikshitoti Mudita Stam Gauramadhyamyaham. Atriyante at the end of the night. This is first yam Nishant Leela. What does Mahaprabhu do? Pikakukutadininadam. Shrutva, he heard the sounds of the parrots, roosters, etc. Svatalpotita, and awakened from his bed. And Mahaprabhu used to wake up first and then Shri Vishnu Priyaya Samam Rasakatham Sambhashya Santoshyatam. Then he delighted his wife Srimati Vishnu Priya Devi by conversing in various loving ways with her. So dear devotees, he would also converse with Sri Vishnu Priya Devi in a very loving way. He would make her wake up and he would converse with her in various sweet ways. Dear devotees, this is Mahaprabhu with his eternal consort, Srimati Vishnu Priya Devi. Then, Gatva Nyatra, then having gone to another room, Darasano Parivasan, he sat on a small asan, seat, Swadbhi, Su Adbhihi, and with pristine scented water, what did he do? Sudhautanano, he washed his face, he washed his hands and feet, dear devotees. At that time, Yo Matra Divirikshitoti Muditas, he appeared extremely joyous, completely refreshed, and was glanced upon by his mother, Shachi Devi, and other associates. Tam Gaura Madhyemyaham, I remember that Mahaprabhu, Sri Gaura. Dear devotees, this is the meditation on the first yam, on the first Leela of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as soon as he wakes up. So those devotees who have been authorized by their Gurujanas to engage in Smaran along with Harinam. So they engage in Smaran according to the path shown by the previous Acharyas, and the previous Acharyas in their manuals have given Smaran of Mahaprabhu and Smaran of Shri Krishna. Dear devotees, this is Smaran of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and there will be basic Smaran. But Smaran of Shri Krishna, which has to go on along with the utterance of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That Smaran is a very detailed one. And that Smaran has been specified. The first link of that Smaran has been specified by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Bhajan Rahasya. And that complete Smaran has been specified by the previous Acharyas in their respective manuals on Smaran that they have composed. So dear devotees, we will move ahead and see what the Acharyas have specified about Sri Sri Radha Krishna in the first yam, in the first Leela. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Mahasaya recommends this in his Bhajan Rahasya at the very end of his commentary on the first verse, Cheto Darpanamarjanam. He says that devotees who have advanced to a certain stage of Bhajan Kriya, they start engaging in Smaran by the blessings of their Gurujanas. It is very important to have blessings and permission from one's Gurujanas in order to engage in this sort of Smaran. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Mahasaya himself engaged in this sort of Smaran, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has told all the aspiring devotees to progress on the path of Smaran with the blessings of their respective Gurujanas. What is that particular Smaran that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has specified? He specifies a verse from Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's Govind Lilamritam. Dear devotees, Please hear what happens during Nishanta Lila. Night has ended, but morning has not yet arrived. It is pre-morning. What happens at that particular point of time? Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he composes a beautiful verse in one of the longest meters in Sanskrit poetry, Sragdhara. I'll try to sing this. Please hear carefully. रात्र्यन्ते त्रस्तवृन्दे ऋतबहुविरवैर्बोधितौ कीरशारी पद्यैर्हृद्यैरहृद्यैरपि सुखशयनादुत्थितौ तौ सखीभिः द्रष्टौ हृष्टौ तदात्वो दितरति ललितौ कक्खटीगिः सशङ्कौ राधा कृष्णौ सतृष्णा वपि निज निज धाम्याप्त तल्पौ स्मरामि. Dear devotees, similar tune. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Same meter, Sragdhara. In this meter, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has composed this verse in Govinda Lilamritam. He is Kaviraj. Kaviraj means, one meaning is, physician. Another meaning is the king of poets. He is really the king of poets, and you can see that in his Govinda Lilamritam. The devotees, Ratri Ante, at the end of night, something happened. Trasta Vrinda. Vrinda Devi became a little fearful. Dear devotees, does fear exist in the spiritual world? Of course, material fear doesn't exist. But that healthy fear which nourishes one's bhakti rasa, which is not at all material, that healthy fear which is useful for nourishment of one's mood towards the service of Sri Sri Radha Krishna, that particular healthy fear, for some point of time, for a little duration of time, suddenly arises, nourishes one's rasa, and then disappears. So, dear devotees, for a moment, Vrinda Devi becomes a little afraid. Why? Because she's fearing the approaching dawn. And then what does she do? Irita bahu viravair bodhitau kira shari. And then she prompts the parrots, mynas. Kira shari means parrots, mynas, and other birds. Other birds are automatically included, to make various loud sounds. Padyair, hridyair, ahridyair. By singing verses that are pleasing and not so pleasing. So some birds make sounds which are pleasing. Some birds make sounds which are not so pleasing. In the spiritual world, why make a sound which is not so pleasing? A question might arise, dear devotees, because pleasing sounds help you fall deeper into sleep. But here, the motivation is not to make Shri Shri Radha Krishna fall deeper into sleep. What is the motivation here, Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu? Can you please tell us?
To wake up Shri Shri Radha and Krishna.
Yes, Shri Shri Radha and Krishna, because before Nishanta Leela, there has been Nakta Leela, night pastimes. They have spent the night together in a very esoteric way. But now night time is over. It is time to return back to their respective homes, and nobody should come to know that Shri Shri Radha and Krishna were together. Their parents should not come to know. Therefore, Vrinda Devi has to wake them up very early. But there is an art of waking them up. So the birds will sing sweetly, and they will also sing in not so pleasing manner, so that Sri Sri Radha Krishna are woken up at that particular point of time. And Sukha Shayanad Uthitau. So then the divine couple wakes from their blissful slumber. Sukha Shayana. Sometimes we call it, sugar sleep. Sleep which is as sweet as sugar. So they wake up from their sugar sleep, and along with the Sakhis. Then Drishtau, they gaze upon each other. Hrishtau, they become very blissful by looking at each other, because it is very sweet for a lover and beloved to glance into each other's eyes after they have spent the entire night together. And then Tada Tadatva udita rati lalitau. But once again, sweet desire arises within them to spend more time. But this desire cannot be completed, cannot be fulfilled. It is very essential, dear devotees, it is very essential that when both of them leave each other, there should be a little feeling of dissatisfaction. Why is that dissatisfaction necessary? Because that dissatisfaction lays the seed of the next union. That dissatisfaction lays the seed of the expectation of the next union. Because if two people are completely satisfied when they depart, they will not have the desire to see each other again so soon. But when they are dissatisfied as they depart, so the seeds for the next meeting are sown at that very particular point of time. Thus, the dissatisfaction. So, dear devotees, dissatisfaction does exist in the spiritual world only for the purpose of facilitating the next satisfaction. And that next satisfaction is going to happen very soon. It is not going to take a long time. But for the time being, they become blissful, the sweet desire arises within them, but becoming apprehensive. Why do they become apprehensive? Kakkati gihi sashankao. Upon hearing the shrieks of Kakkati, the she monkey. Dear devotees, the she monkey makes some noises which indicates that the day is about to begin. Please return back quickly. And Radha and Krishna, Satrishna-vapi, although hankering for each other, api nija nija dhamnyapta talpa usmarami. They return to their respective homes and quietly go to sleep again on their respective beds, so that nobody in the home comes to know where they were. This is Nishanta Leela summarized in a verse. Smarami, I remember that divine couple. So this is the Bij mantra. This is the seed verse for whatever that happens in Nishanta Leela. And then Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Shri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur give details about all these aspects. What happens at the end of night? Who wakes up first? How does Vrinda Devi wake up? How do the birds wake up? Who wakes up next? What happens in sequence? All of that is mentioned by the previous acharyas. So much is the detail that if you keep remembering verse by verse, you will spend the entire Nishanta time, you will spend the entire pre-morning meditating upon these pre-morning pastimes of Sri Sri Radhakrishna. Thus, your remembrance will align exactly with the pastimes that are taking place, and thus you will fulfill the requirement, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. Dear devotees, 24-hour remembrance. But what about when the devotee goes to sleep? What about when the devotee takes rest? So Srila Prabhupada often used to say that the practiced devotee remembers Bhagavan even within their sleep, even in their dreams. And sometimes, dear devotees, traditional Gaudiya Vaishnavas, on certain days like Ekadashi, they don't sleep at all. Throughout the night, they have kirtan. And which kirtan? They may be singing Hare Krishna externally. But internally, dear devotees, there is a different universe going on altogether. What is happening internally? They are remembering these verses according to that particular time of the night. And while remembering these particular verses at that specific time of the night, they develop various symptoms of ecstasy, crying, horripilations on the body, fading of the skin, color, etc. Therefore, you will see that they are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. But their internal world is so rich because every Hare Krishna is giving rise to a completely different painting altogether within their minds. And this painting within their minds is alive. And this remembrance, this smaran, leads them to experience of bhakti ras. And this experience of bhakti ras, their devotees, leads to anubhavs, sattvic bhavs, the experience of various ecstatic emotions, which is seen on the minds and bodies of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas who engage in such practices. But dear devotees, all of this requires guidance from the Guru. All of this requires um, that the Guru should show us the proper course and should correct any mistakes that occur on the path. But I'm not going to get into such esoteric details because our series of seminars is on Shri Caitanya-Siksastakam. It is not on Govinda Lilamritam. But because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has brought up the topic of Sri Govinda Lilamritam, I get the chance to speak something about it. Otherwise, I would have never spoken about Govinda Lilamritam in a seminar on Shri Caitanya-Śikṣāṣṭakam. But because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Mahasaya has brought up the topic that this first verse of Shri Caitanya Siksastakam, it basically refers to Nishanta Lila, and the devotee should remember what all things take place in Nishanta Lila, and a summary of that is in the verse which is right now on the screen. Now let's get into a little more detailed understanding of Nishanta Lila. Dear devotees, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Krishna Bhavanamritam, the name of his Smaran manual, his manual for 24 hours remembrance is Krishna Bhavanamritam Mahakavyam. The literal translation of Krishna Bhavanamritam is Krishna Consciousness Nectar. This is, you can just literally translate Krishna Consciousness Nectar. So he wrote a book which is actually having the term Krishna Consciousness in it. And what is actual Krishna consciousness? What is the nectar of Krishna consciousness? He gave in that particular book, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In his Krishna Bhavanamrita Mahakavyam, he composes this verse. Prati svaseva vasare prabodhita sadantanabhyas jushodha kinkari nidraiva ratryantamavetiatajaho सैव स्वयं जागरयां चकार किम प्रति स्वसेवा अवसरे प्रबोधिता सदा तनाभ्यास जुषो. There are maid servants of Sri Radha, Sri Krishna who are practiced in waking up for their respective services at this time. They are practiced in waking up at this particular point of time. It is their eternal seva to wake up at this particular point of time. And they don't wake up grudgingly. Oh no, no. Now is our time for fulfilling our duties. No, this is not the mood with which they wake up. They wake up in a very joyous manner, but they are joyous at the same time they are experiencing some slumber, some symptoms of laziness. Dear devotees, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Nidraiva avetyatajahu saiva swayam jagarayam chakarakim. Did Nidra Devi, the deity of sleep, personally awaken these maid servants at the end of the night? Because otherwise there was no reason for them to wake up. It seems as if sleep herself has woken them up. Sleep herself is telling them, please wake up because it is time for your particular seva. And what is that particular seva? They have to prepare various garlands for Shri Radha and Krishna. Because Shri Radha and Krishna, when in the previous night, when they arrived together, they were wearing various garlands. Now, those garlands may be nowhere to be found, or they may have been lost, or they may have been dispersed. And when they go back home, they should go back in the same decoration with which they arrived. Therefore, some Sakhis have to wake up before Shri Radha Krishna wake up, and they have to prepare garlands, etc. for the divine couple. And this is the first thing that happens in Nishanta Leela. Dear devotees, after that, Shri Radha Krishna, where they are resting in their private space, their private kunja, their private grove, at that particular place, the wind god Vayu begins his seva. His seva is also specified by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. प्रभञ्जनो रञ्जयितुं निकुञ्ज राजौ विराजिष्टमुदा तदानीं मन्ये प्रबुद्ध्य श्लथ दुर्बलाङ्गो धृतं प्रयातुं नतरां शशाक. Wonderful verse. It has anupras. It has alliteration in the first and second lines. Prabhanjano ranjayatum nikunja. You can hear the nja repetition in the first line. The second line, Rajau Virajisht, Rajau Rajisht, Muda Tada, Muda and Tada, Rajau and Virajisht. You can see the repetition in the second line. So Prabhanjano, Prabhanjan is the name of the wind god. So, Ranjayitum Nikunja Rajo. At this point of time, even the wind god began delighting the divine couple. Now, how did he begin delighting? He wanted to blow very fast, but Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Manye, I think even he was sleepy and lazy because even the wind god woke up early at that time. And because he was lazy, his limbs were lazy, therefore he also, instead of blowing strongly, he also blew mildly at that time, as if lazy. And his mild blowing was the cause of a lot of joy to the divine couple. Because when the wind blows rapidly, it doesn't give that pleasure, but the wind blows mildly, it gives a lot of pleasure to anyone who is asleep. Especially, dear devotees, in the months of summer, when the heat is slightly greater and the wind starts blowing in the middle of the night, dear devotees, it gives a lot of pleasure to a person who is asleep. This is the seva that Vayu performs at this particular point of time. Now, this is not the only seva that Vayu performs at this point of time. The Vayu also performs the task of awakening the bumblebees. And how does he awaken the bumblebees? A wonderful description at that point. The devotee Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Ya vrikshavalyo vyakasamstadaivatāsh chumbam stadamodabharair disho dasha prasaritai shwasapatha praveshitai bringavalirjagarayam chakarasah. Ya vrikshavalyo vyakasams tadaivatash chumbams. The wind god went ahead and kissed the flower blossomed creepers on the trees. So the wind god kissed. Kissed here means he came in close contact. Poetic language is being used. The wind god kissed the flower-laden creepers on the trees, and as soon as the wind god came in contact with those flowers, the fragrance of those flowers spread in the 10 directions. The wind god helped spread the fragrance in the 10 directions. And then this fragrance also entered into the sense of smell of the bumblebees. And as soon as the bumblebees got the fragrance of the flowers, their natural instinct is to wake up and suddenly start making that sweet noise. Dear devotees, this sweet noise suddenly started occurring because the bumblebees woke up. The gopis woke up. The gopis are still a little lazy and they're feeling slightly lazy. Then the wind god started blowing. Then the bumblebees have woken up. Finally, when the bumblebees have woken up, Shri Vrinda Devi also wakes up. Tad gunjitairanjita suswarairbrisham prabudhya vrindath vilokya sarvatah स्वनाथयोर्जागरणे पतत्रणं न्ययुङ्क्तकालज्ञतयारयादियम् tad gunjitai, by the profuse buzzing of the bumblebees. So the bumblebees are going, and by that buzzing, who wakes up? Vrinda Devi woke up. And when Vrinda Devi woke up, she woke up and looked in all the directions. She is a little anxious. As I told you, a little anxiety that nourishes bhakti ras is always desirable in the spiritual world. She looked around in all directions and then she knew that proper time has arrived and therefore she engaged the birds. Patatrinau. Uh, she engaged two main birds, the cuckoo and the parrot and the cuckoo, parrot and the myna sometimes. And also she's going to engage one important bird, dear devotees, Kalagyataya Rayadiyam. She engaged them because she knew the proper time has arrived so that they can wake up the worshipable divine couple. Now there is one bird which is very helpful for waking up. Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, do you know which bird is very helpful for waking up?
The rooster.
Rooster, wonderful. And Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu, does the rooster make a pleasing sound or not so pleasing sound?
It's not very pleasing when you're sleeping.
Yes. So, as Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami had said, some birds make a pleasing sound, some birds make a not so pleasing sound. So, dear devotees, the not so pleasing sound maker is our rooster. this rooster woke up because Vrinda Devi indicated all the birds, wake up, it is time for your seva. The rooster woke up, and the rooster woke up. Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, अथ प्रबुध्यैव विधूय पक्षान् ग्रीवः समुन्नीय चुकूजुरुच्चै यत्कुक्कुटः पञ्चशवारमादौ राधा जजागार तदाप्तबाधा प्रबुध्यैव विधूय पक्षाम्. Roosters were the first ones to wake up. Having woken up, vidhuya pakshan, they spread their wings. Then grivah sumunni, they raised their neck and made a loud sound 5 to 6 times. Now we are not going to make that sound here in this verse because there is a separate verse for that sound. But as soon as Sri Radha heard that sound, she woke up in a state of anxiety. She woke up in a state of anxiety means she knew that the morning time is about to arrive. She woke up, but still after waking up, she is not going to get up from her particular resting place because there is something called as kapata nidra. Kapata nidra means Sri Radha and Sri Krishna wish to have the pleasure of deceitful sleeping even after having woken up. Sometimes you're woken up, but you don't want to get out of bed. So that sort of laziness is present in Sri Radha Krishna, that is called as kapata nidra. So she has woken up mentally and she's a little anxious mentally, but physically she has not yet woken up. So she has woken up mentally on hearing the rooster. What does the rooster say? So Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Rasvadirgha plutairyuktam kuku kuku iti swaram कुक्कुटोऽप्यपठत् प्रातर् वेदाभ्यासी बटुर्यथा. The rooster thus made a sound in all 3 units of time. Dear devotees, according to Sanskrit grammar, there are 3 main units of time. And these 3 units of time are known as Hrasva, Dirgha and Pluta. Now I will explain what is Hrasva, Dirgha and Pluta. Very important. Please look carefully at what I am explaining. In Sanskrit grammar, there is a unit of time defined known as one matra. What is matra? Matra, very easily you can understand the time required, the minimum time required for one eye blink is called matra. So the fastest eye blink that you can do is one matra. Alright? So that time is known as one matra. Now, vowels in Sanskrit can be uttered in one matra, in 2 matras, or in more than 2 matras. For example, the short vowel, here the short vowel, and it requires only one eye blink of time. Once again, no, short vowel, short vowel, e, short vowel, u. So, e, u, r. These are requiring only one eye blink of time. One matra is known as hrasva, short unit of time. Then there are some vowels which require 2 units of time. They are called as dirgha, 2 eye blinks. For example, you can look carefully now. A, E, U. I hope you are able to understand. A requires 2 eye blinks of time. And then there are some which require more than 2. So this which require 2 eye blinks of time are called as dirgha. And then for singing, crying, calling somebody from a distance, you need 3 or more than 3. For example, if Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu Prabhu is at a distance and I'm in a village, I don't have a cell phone, and I loudly call, Prabhu, so that ooh, which extends over a long duration of time is called as pluta. So there are 3 durations of time. Hrasva, 1 eye blink. Dirgha, 2 eye blinks. Pluta, 3 or more than 3 up to infinity eye blinks. These are the 3 units of time. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada in Harinamamrit Vyakaranam 7th Sutra commentary, he says you can see all 3 in the rooster. Ku. So the first ku is Hrasva, the second ku is Dirgha, the third ku is Pluta. I hope you are able to understand. So this is the grammatical significance behind the rooster is very grammatical in his utterance of his sounds. The first ku has the vowel u. That u is hrasva, short. The second u is long, And the third U is extra long. Rasva dirgha pluta. Cuckoo. This is how the rooster makes a sound early morning. So dear devotees, those who are interested can look up Hari Namamrita grammar, the 7th Sutra commentary by Srila Jiva Goswami. Kukkutarutagati. Anyways, so this is the rooster thus made a sound in all 3 units of time. Cuckoo. So dear devotee, this is what the rooster made sound. And thus the rooster sounded exactly Vedabhyasi Batur, like a student of Vedic grammar. Dear devotee, at this particular point of time, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami wants to say that Vrinda Devi, as if had engaged Vedic students to wake up Sri Radha Krishna with their auspicious sounds in all 3 units of time. Rasva, short, Dirgha, long, and Pluta, prolonged. All of them to be found in a single entity. That entity is the rooster. So this is Bhagwan's arrangement. How one particular entity can make sounds in all 3 units of time. In earlier days, when teachers would teach grammar, they would teach by showing local examples that you can see around you. Not very complicated examples. So easy to understand examples. So this is one of those examples. Anyways, so then the rooster made the unpleasant sound, and then the cuckoos are going to make the pleasant sounds. Dear devotees, Pikashreणी manojasya Vineva vyakta panchavam Alalapa swaram taram Kuhuriti muhu muhu. You can hear the alliteration in the last line. Kuhu muhu muhu. So, Pikashreni manojasya. The cuckoos made a loud sound like the fifth note of the veena. Veena is a musical instrument of Kamadev. And their sound was in the fifth note. Fifth note is a very sweet note, romantic note. And in that sweet romantic fifth note, which sounded like the musical instrument of the god of love, they started making kuhu kuhu iti muhu muhu repeatedly. They started making that sound. So along with the unpleasant sound, the pleasant sounds were mixed. Shri Radha Krishna have awoken mentally from their sleep. Physically, they still wish to keep lying down on their respective beds, don't wish to get up, because just like any ordinary human being, this is Naralila, this is human pastime. They don't want to get up so soon. They want to keep lazing around in their bed for some duration of time. So this is what happens, dear devotees, when Sri Radha and Krishna are to be woken up. I'm just giving a little glimpse into what is happening. Then, dear devotees, I will summarize what happened because I can't give all the details. If I start giving all the details, then we will have to spend 144 minutes minimum in order to describe everything. And I have to explain the verses. It will take much more than 144 minutes. And this is not a series of talks on Govinda Lilamritam or Krishna Bhavanamritam. Just a introduction and just giving a slight hint. And all the details have to be learned from a proper guru who teaches, or at least, under the blessings of a proper guru. Then what happens, dear devotees? Then there is Shukanchari, the parrot and Maina. They start waking up Shri Krishna. So there are two parrots of Shri Krishna. One is called as Daksha. One is called as Vichakshana. Daksha means expert. Vichakshana also means expert. Now, everybody in the spiritual world is named exactly according to their qualities. Krishna is named Krishna because he lives up to the name Krishna. He is dark in color. Similarly, Daksha and Vichakshana. Daksha and Vichakshana both in expert. They're expert singers. Then Daksha and Vichakshana start singing in their sweet voices, start waking up Sri Krishna, and they start singing to him. They start saying that you are the Lord of all rasas, you're the Lord of, all romantic mellows. Please wake up. Please also make your beloved wake up who is sleeping right next to you. And then there is the Maina. The Maina is named Manju Bhashini. Krishna's Maina is named Manju Bhashini. She also requests Shri Krishna, please wake up, all glories to you. Please wake up yourself and make your beloved Sri Radha wake up. Then Sri Radha also has her Mainas. They are named Shubhra and Sukshmati. Shubhra means pristine white. Sukshmadi means she who has very fine intelligence. They also start awakening Sri Radha, and they also start glorifying her. Then when these birds are glorifying Sri Radha and Krishna, they are requesting them to wake up. At that particular point of time, they also say that, please see, the sun is about to arise in some time. Please wake up. Please give up your laziness. And after hearing all of this, dear devotees, both Sri Radha and Krishna, their eyes open. Nidra Bhanga. This is technically known as Nidra Bhanga. Their eyes open suddenly, fully opened, and then they start looking at each other at this particular point of time. And when they start looking at each other at this particular point of time, they also have a little distress in their hearts because they know that now is the time to separate. This distress is very good. It is very good because it is going to lay the seeds of the next meeting. And after, both of them are distressed, then they try to search here and there. They try to look for all their ornaments, these ornaments and these flower garlands which have dispersed here and there. They are looking here and there. At this particular point of time, the Sakhis, the gopis who woke up before Sri Radha Krishna are ready to assist. And there are various manjaris. Manjaris are assistants of the gopis who are also willing to assist. At this particular point of time, all the gopis and manjaris, then they come to help Sri Radha Krishna get properly dressed before they can return home. So, dear devotees, in this way, Sri Radha Krishna, there are many, many gopis and manjaris. There is one manjari named Bhanumati. This Bhanumati manjari, she gives a comb to Sri Krishna. Sri Krishna uses this comb not for combing his own hair. He uses this comb to comb Sri Radha's hair. Similarly, dear devotees, Sri Radha and Krishna, they help each other in dressing up. After they help each other in dressing up at that particular point of time, dear devotees, then Sri Krishna and Sri Radha start thanking all the Sakhis, all the birds, but Sri Krishna utters a false curse to the rooster because Sri Krishna is not happy with the rooster. So Sri Krishna utters a false curse. He says, "You rooster, better you stay at Yamaraj's abode because everybody gave me pleasure, only you gave me displeasure." The rooster has a thankless service, and almost every morning he receives a few curses from Shri Krishna. One of those curses is given by our previous acharyas. So usually Bhagwan Shri Krishna does not like to hear the voice of the rooster. So Shri Krishna gives a fake curse to the rooster. The rooster is very happy to receive this fake curse from Shri Krishna. His service is complete because that was the service that he was appointed for by Shri Vrindadevi. And then Sri Radha also sometimes utters such curses. And then, dear devotees, after they arise, they awake, then Sri Radha and Sri Krishna develop what is known as Bhav Shabalya. Bhav Shabalya. Bhav Shabalta means various emotions are seen within them, various emotions are seen in various parts of their body. And after that, dear devotees, gradually they give up that particular place which they had, where they were together at night, and gradually they come back to their homes. Once they come back to their homes, dear devotees, they take the route on which nobody will be suspicious. They quietly return back to their home. After returning back to their home, dear devotees, they take rest in their respective bedrooms. And in this way, dear devotees, once they take rest in their respective bedrooms, then the Nishant Leela is formally over. Once Nishant Leela is formally over, then the second yam is going to begin. Second yam is Pratah Leela. Early morning Leela is going to begin. So then the Gaudiya Vaishnavas train themselves also in Pratah Leela. Then gradually, when a Gaudiya Vaishnava, under the guidance of Gurujanas, train themselves in all 8 yamas, all 8 parts of the day, then 24-hour Krishna consciousness is easily possible for the Gaudiya Vaishnava. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. If you ask a Gaudiya Vaishnava at this point of time, what is Shri Krishna doing? A Gaudiya Vaishnava who is trained under a guru should be able to answer that at this particular point of time, Shri Krishna is engaging in this particular activity. So this is the life and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnava, Śrī-kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam and śrī-krsna-smaranam. Both go hand in hand together. Dear devotees, at this point of time, I will not get into much details. I will pause my speech here. But for every verse of Shri Siksastakam, there was an introductory prayer. There also needs to be a concluding prayer. So here is a freshly composed verse for concluding the first verse of Shri Siksastakam. This verse is offered unto Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. It is in the same meter that the first verse of the Siksastakam is in. Shardula Vikriditam. Here is the verse. Chittadarsham bhavagnishamanam Shreyah kumuthulanam Vidyojivanamuccha harsha jaladher Udvelanam sarvatha Swadah purna sudha shriyamanupadam Sarvatmanaschaplutır Yena Shri Harinamni Samprakatitam Tam Gaurachandram Shraye. Chitta Darsham Rija, cleansing the mirror of the heart. Bhavagni Shamanam, extinguishing the fire of material existence. Shreya Kumut Phullanam, blooming of the night lily of all round auspiciousness. Vidya Jivanam, enlivening of Vidya, transcendental knowledge. Uccha Harsha Jaladher, Udvelanam Sarvatha, all round swelling of the ocean of the topmost joy. Swadah Purna Sudha Shriyamanupādam, relishment of varieties of nectarian delights in every word and syllable. And finally, Sarvatmanas Chaplutir, complete bathing and nourishing of the entirety of one's body, mind, and soul. These 7 qualities, Yena Shri Harinamni Samprakatitam, they were fully manifest in Shri Harinam by that one particular personality whose name is Shri Gaurachandra. Tam Gaurachandram Shray. I take shelter of Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. The devotees, with this particular verse, with this particular offering, I conclude my speech on the first verse of Shri Caitanya Siksastakam at the end of the 20th session. We have completed discussion on this first verse, although there are unlimited aspects and we could discuss it unlimitedly, but I have to stop somewhere. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Yadatra Skhalitam Kinchit Vidvam Saha Purayantu Tat. Yadatra Saushthavam Kinchit Tad Guru Reva Me Nahi. Yadatra Skhalitam Kinchit. If there are any mistakes in what I spoke, Vidvam Saha, your learned devotees, Purayantu Tat. Please correct those mistakes. But Yadatra Saushthavam Kinchit. If there's anything nice, please understand. Tad Guru Reva. It came from my Gurujanas Me Nahi. It doesn't come from me. Thank you very much, dear devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Hari Prabhu, for a really beautiful class and such an amazing opening to the Siksastakam series. 20 classes on the first verse with no repetition. It's really amazing the depth and the variety that you're able to provide in your classes. So much rooted in our tradition and yet seemingly new because we haven't heard it before. It's lost in translation. And I can see that even just these 20 classes we've had so far, it could be a book. And I can see that we've got 7 to go. I think this is the first iteration of something that's going to turn into a book that will be read for many decades to come. I'm very grateful to be here. We're going to go now to questions and answers. And we have a few requests for you. If you want to ask a question, first of all, if you're watching on YouTube or anywhere else and you'd like to watch the classes live, please just send an email to this email address that you see on the screen. You can just pause it and write it down. and write us and include your WhatsApp number and country code, and we will add you. The rules for questions and answers are the same. Please only ask questions related to today's class, and we don't take questions that are loaded questions or political or fault-finding questions, things like that bring up a particular person or institution. We like to keep it informal and philosophical in this series. You might have several questions you want to ask, but please just ask one at a time with a possible short follow-up, and then get back in line so that other people get a chance to ask their questions also. And if you have a question that will take a lot of research, please save it for the WhatsApp group, the question and answer WhatsApp group. Anything else, Hari Parshad Prabhu?
Yeah, I'd like to say that let's keep the Q&A informal. I spoke today about Ashtayam sadhana, about Ashtakal Lila, because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had spoken about it. I know there are certain devotees who are not comfortable in even speaking about Ashtayam Lila, but this is the heart, this is the core of Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada used to say that after 15 or 20 years of practice, one should understand what are the subject matters. And since Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur Mahashay had brought up this topic in his Bhajan Rahasya, therefore I very briefly touched upon it and I have skipped the esoteric details. I would not recommend anybody going to the esoteric details without having gotten blessings and permission from their Gurujanas. Therefore, dear devotees, please understand that what was spoken in the spirit of supporting what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said in his commentary. With that, we can begin the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you. Our first question is from Krishna Das Patra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam. Am I audible, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Prabhuji, those devotees who are practicing this chanting of Mahamantra while doing the smarana of the Ashtayam Lila, so is it possible for them to simultaneously count the mantra and
The mantra and?
simultaneously counting the Mahamantra and doing the smaran? Because I had heard that it is not possible to count and doing smaran simultaneously.
Yeah. Therefore, if they're doing japa, the counting is taken care of by the beads. So the counting aspect is by flipping the beads. But their minds are engaged in hearing the mantra and meditating on the meanings of the mantra. So during japa, the beads take care of it. During kirtan, counting is not really needed. So that is what has been established by so many personalities. Because if your mind is focused on counting, then how will you ever have a free flow of these various pastimes within your mind? So it is not easily possible. Therefore, kirtan is usually uncounted and japa is counted, but the counting you don't have to take care of. Counting has to be is taken care of by the mala, by the beads. So that is the answer to the query. I hope that answers your query. Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
It's one of those perennial questions about chanting and remembering at the same time. We get that question many times.
Yes. Yes. In the Upadeshamritam, when we did a discussion, there were 6 good qualities of japa discussed. One of which was mantra artha chintanam, meditating on the meaning of the mantra. Many meanings are given. One meaning given by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is first Hare Krishna corresponds to first Yam, Nishanta Lila. So that is also a meaning of the Mahamantra. Or you can chant the entire Mahamantra if you are chanting the Mahamantra during that particular time of the night, then you can focus on those particular pastimes, provided that one has the blessings and permission of one's guru. So that is the explanation. Thank you.
Next we have Ajay Richaria.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my obeisances. It was a really fabulous seminar on the first verse of Shikshashtakam and so many amazing realizations. My question is that the first verse of Shikshashtakam talks about avidya. And I just want to just a simple question that what is avidya compared to in the Nishanta Leela? Is it compared to the Nidra or something else?
No, there is no avidya cannot exist in the spiritual world. So, as a sadhaka, as a practitioner, the Mahamantra drives away your avidya. As a practitioner, this first Hare Krishna drives away your avidya. But as somebody who's aspiring for a perfected body, who's aspiring for a Siddha Deha, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra also simultaneously gives you realizations in the spiritual world in the form of Nishanta Leela. So the sadhaka conception is that it drives away avidya, it gives you shraddha, it gives you bhajan kriya, it gives you, and then the siddha conception is that it gives you Nishanta Leela, it gives you Pratah Leela, it gives you, Purvahana Leela, Madhyahana Leela, Aparahana Leela. So there are two separate things going on here. One is what is the implication of the Mahamantra for a sadhaka, for a practitioner. For a practitioner, it takes you from Shraddha to Prem. And for a perfected, for somebody who's aspiring for perfection, it takes you from Nishant Leela all the way up till Nakta Leela. So 8 Leela. So there are two parallel tracks going on here. So let's keep the tracks separate because one track is for a sadhak, one track is for somebody who's aspiring for a Siddha body. That is what it is. Right?
So they are going parallelly, like, or is it that after removal of avidya, the siddha body, the remembrance of the...
No. Therefore, I said for this remembrance of Ashtayam, the guidance and permission of Guru is needed. At what time can I begin engaging in this? So for that, the permission and blessings of the Guru is needed. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has also specified that the Guru checks the inclination of the disciple and sees if the disciple is fit for engaging in such a practice. And if the disciple is fit for engaging in such a practice, then the Guru gives the permission, blessings, and required details in order to engage in that. So that is the answer to the query. It is not a generic practice which anybody can take up just by reading a book. In all branches of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, it requires the permission and blessings of the Guru, who is already expert on the path, in order to engage on the path. So that is the answer to your query, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. I also have another question. I'll wait for the second one.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Next we have Swarupani Harini Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Sadak Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, today is a very fortunate day for me because whatever my heart is lamenting for, that topic has been brought in today's class. And I really thank you from the bottom of my heart for presenting this topic. And in that context, I had a question explaining of yamas to the leelas, the connection. The first verse was connected to Gaura Leela, and the later parts were described in terms of Krishna Leela. And maybe you might have already spoken, but I might have missed it. What are the names of the acharyas? Are I think Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur was mentioned for Gaur Leela. Who has done it for Krishna Leela? Or maybe I missed it. So what is the book name that described it? Hare Krishna.
All right, Mataji, so if you look at the presentation again, first and foremost, it is not called Yama, it is called as Yama. So Yama is the name, it is not Yama. Yama is a division of the day. Some Yamas are 6 dandas, some Yamas are 12 dandas. All of that was summarized in one table in the presentation. So maybe when the recording is made available, you can go through it again. The acharyas who have contributed to giving Ashtayam sadhana, they are Srila Rupa Goswami has given the sutras, the introductory verses, then Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Sri Kavi Karnapur, etc. are acharyas who have given in their respective books, they have given the details of this practice. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Next we have Kriparam Prabhu.
Dandavad Hariprasad Prabhu and all the Vaishnavas. In a previous session, I made one question about the different kind of bhajans, and you explained me that the bhajans in relation to Gaura Hari are for sadhakas, and the bhajans in relation to Radha Krishna are for the aspiration of a siddha body in the spiritual world. But my question is, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained that for us there are both options, or to develop two spiritual bodies, one in Nitya Navadvip and the other one in Nitya Vrindavan. In that way, it's possible to chanting the bhajans in relation to Sri Gaura Hari in the mood of a sadhaka and in the mood of a siddha.
Simultaneously, you're asking?
Yes.
Okay. So, is it possible to simultaneously chant in the mood of a sadhaka and a siddha? So, there is no specific point given about this, but it can be safely understood that the acharyas are expecting us to follow one line at a time, which means either you adopt the mood of a sadhaka at a particular point of time, or either you adopt the mood of a siddha at a particular point of time. But there is no such expectation that both should happen parallelly. If it happens parallelly after achieving a siddha deha, no problem in it. But usually the acharyas are expecting one particular body, sadhana within one particular body at a particular point of time. And Sri Narottam Das Thakur also in his songs, he has separated the sadhaka songs, sadhaka kirtan from the siddha kirtan. In one kirtan, he doesn't mix both of them. Sadhaka kirtans are Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More, Toma Bina Ke Dayalu Jagat Sansare, like, or Goranga Karuna Karo Dina Hina Jani, these are kirtan for sadhaka deha. And then Radha Krishna Prana Mora Jugal Kishore, Jivane Marane Gati Ara Nahi More, these are bhajans for siddha deha. And then Kalindira Kule, I will on the banks of the Yamuna, I will make Radha and Krishna dance on a swing, swing on a swing, and then I will make a flower garland for them. All these are kirtans pertaining to Siddha Deha. So at one point of time, Sri Narottam Das Thakur's mind is invested in one particular kirtan, and we can safely follow that model, that particular role model, that at one particular point of time, according to one's swaras, according to one's natural inclination, if one is naturally feeling inclined towards Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's seva, one can take the sadhaka identity, and one is naturally feeling inclined towards Sri Radha Krishna seva, one can take the siddha identity as given by Sri Guru. That is the answer to the query. Right?
Okay, but there is an option that we meditate and forego to Nitya Navadvip in these bhajans of Sri Gaura Hari and in the Astakaliya Lila of Nitya Navadvip.
Of course, because the whole Ashtakaliya Lila, Mahaprabhu's Ashtakaliya Lila is within Navadvip, in the framework of Navadvip. So this
Yes.
Mahaprabhu or Ashtakaliya Lila is in the framework of Navadvip. You can't have Ashtakaliya Lila unless there is a dham in which the Ashtakaliya Lila takes place. And which dham does it take place in? It takes place in Navadvip Dham, or Nitya Navadvip Dham. In a Nitya Navadvip Dham, that particular Ashtakaliya Lila takes place. The meaning of Ashtakaliya is it eternally during 8 times of the day it is taking place. So obviously the dham is required because dham is basis for all the pastimes. So that dham has also been specified by the previous acharyas, but it is swaras. Swaras means according to one's taste and inclination. You cannot make a rule around this thing because this is all belonging to Raga Nuga Bhakti. It is not Vaidhi Bhakti basically. So fixed rules cannot be made around this thing. So I hope that clarifies.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I have a question, Prabhu, about this fifth note.
Yeah.
I think elsewhere it's called Panchama Jushe.
Yeah.
So any note that you play, it's only considered a fifth note relative to other notes. Otherwise, it could be the first note or second or any note if you only play that one note. And so what exactly is meant by playing the fifth note?
Well, actually, in Bharat Muni's conception, there is something called a Shuddha Swara. Shuddha Swara means before the Mughals invaded India, the notes in the Indian music system were completely different. And after the Mughals invaded India, they changed the scales of the musical instruments. And the Indian musical instruments started having musical notes from which were, enforced upon them by the invaders. Previously, the notes given by Bharat Muni were different, and therefore the previous tunes don't play on the new musical instruments. So when the Shastra says fifth note, it is referring to the fifth note that was Shuddha Swar, which was given by Bharat Muni in his Natya Shastram. If you wish to see how to, because there is one particular researcher who bought about the fifth note again. I will point it out for those who are interested in Bharat Muni's notes. I am sharing my screen. So this is a website called as 22 Shrutis. 22 Shrutis is this particular person has bought out the traditional 22 Shrutis, the traditional 22 notes which were given by Bharat Muni. He has bought it out again on the harmonium and on other instruments. So he has this 22 Shruti harmonium, the world's only patented 22 Shrutis which can play the original notes of Bharat Muni. So on this particular scale, the fifth note, Pancham Swar, is what resembles the voice of a cuckoo. On modern day instruments, you may find it difficult to replicate that, but on this scale, the fifth note, the Shuddha Pancham Swar, refers to it. It is an imitation of the sound of the cuckoo, very romantic sound, and many songs which are many modern day songs which come close to this particular note, they sound very romantic in nature, and that is why this note is it is very important, especially in cases of songs which have depictions of romantic love. So that is the answer to the query.
Thank you. Very interesting. So just to clarify, are you implying that there used to be a universal first note rather than being able to start it higher or lower anywhere on the scale?
Yeah. There is a Shuddha Sa, Shuddha Re, Shuddha Ga, Shuddha Ma, Shuddha Pa. So you start at Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa. So that Pa, fifth note, the Shuddha Pa, is what the relative, in Western music, you can start at any particular note, and from that note, if you go to the fifth note, you can call that as the fifth note. But in Western music also, you have the C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, this system. So if you start with C, and C, D, E, F, G. If you on the keyboard, if you start at C, the C, D, E, F, G. So traditionally, what is labeled as C, and then from there you go to G. So that is noted as the fifth note. So similarly, in this harmonium also, there is the fifth note, Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa. That Pa can be on what is it called? Mandra Saptak, Madhya Saptak, Tar Saptak. There are three septets on the keyboard. It can
Octaves?
be on octaves, three octaves on the keyboard. So on any octave, it can be there. On the lower octave, it will sound a little milder. On the higher octave, it will sound a bit more louder. But still, the effect will be the same. And so there is a Shuddha Paswar. There is a Shuddha fifth note. There is a pure fifth note in the writings of Bharat Muni. But that fifth note was lost during the invasions. Music suffered a lot during the invasions. There are people who are trying to bring it back, and I showed one such example of that.
Very interesting. Thank you. Next we have Onkar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanatana. Thank you for the wonderful lecture, Prabhuji, today. It was very enriching, I'd say. Prabhuji, my question was regarding this point that something similar on the Ajay Prabhu's question. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he correlates each Shikshashtakam verse to a stage, as in Shraddha or Sadhu Sangha or something. And in that chapter, referring to the first verse, he in that chapter he focuses much on the Shraddha, and there he brings about this part of this Nikunja Bhanjan Leela. So, is there any correlation which Bhaktivinoda Thakur wants to show between these two?
No, Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, Bhajan Kriya, these are for a sadhaka. And the Leelas are for somebody who has, who has attained that advanced stage and the blessings of the Guru to engage in that particular type of seva. That is what he's keeping it distinct, although he may say that, in some places he may say those who are on the stage of Bhajan Kriya can begin remembrance of this Leela, those who are on the stage of Nishtha can begin
Yes.
this Leela. But traditionally, both have been kept separate. Sadhak aspect has been kept separate, Siddha aspect has been kept separate. It is best if both of them are kept separate because then there is no confusion. Otherwise, people will start saying at the stage of Shraddha, you begin remembrance of Nishant Leela. But
Actually, that is what the point I heard from one personality.
Yeah. So the thing is, at the stage of Shraddha, they may not be, so they have not even received Diksha from a Guru. There is no proper Sadhu Sangha, there is no Diksha. So where is the
Yes.
eligibility to enter into these pastimes? So better to keep both of them separate. That is the answer to the query.
Yes, thank you, Dhanatha.
Next we have Parama Karuna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Mhm.
Am I audible?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji, for such a sweet class and such a deep topic to be discussed. I was very, very blissful to hear your narration of the first yama and the correlation of the couplets as well as the verses of the Siksastakam to the 8 yamas. It was very new and revealing and blissful to hear. Every time we hear something or a lot of new things. Thank you so much. I can't enough second what Dhāmeśvara Mahāprabhu said in the beginning, that first verse itself was so voluminous. So Prabhuji, my question is a little bit not on this topic. It is what you mentioned in the very beginning of the class about chanting the name and how one has to chant the name very properly. So I have a couple of questions. I'll wait in line to ask again. But my first question is more like a clarification, which is that about it takes time to perfect or to get the result of the chanting. When you said to attain Uttama Bhakti, or even sometimes other devotees say Prema Bhakti. So that part I completely get. But my question is in reference to several verses in the Shastra which say that taking the name just once, Ekanama, that verse is there, and so on. Many are there, removes all sins. Now, I think we all can agree that removal of all sins is obviously not equal to Uttama Bhakti. It's nowhere close, let alone Prema Bhakti. So, is it the correct understanding that one pure name removes all sinful reactions? I recognize that it does not lead to Uttama Bhakti or Prema Bhakti. But sometimes in explanations, whenever I have asked or have tried to explore, these two concepts become conflated or become sort of collapsed, that no, you have to take the name for a long time to attain Uttama Bhakti. Yes, I am interested in Uttama Bhakti and Prema Bhakti, but I'm asking a theoretical question. I'm personally not interested just in removal of sins. So it's, but theoretically, taking one Shuddha Naam removes all sinful reactions.
Okay.
Yes, I mean,
So that is the question, Prabhu.
so is that understanding correct?
Yeah, sure. So I will, I will answer that question. That it is answered directly in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I will share my screen, Prabhu. एक कृष्ण नाम करे सर्व पाप नाश प्रेमेर कारण भक्ति करे न प्रकाश. Prabhu, please read the translation.
Simply chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without offenses vanquishes all sinful activities. Thus, pure devotional service, which is the cause of love of Godhead, becomes manifest.
Yeah, actually, literal translation is Ek Krishna Nam. One name of
Yes.
Krishna, Sarva Papanash, destroys all sin. Premera Karana Bhakti Karena Prakash. And it reveals that bhakti which leads to prema. So that it means that it gives that bhakti which will lead to attainment of Shri Krishna prema. And that all of this can happen in one Krishna Nam. This is the Siddhanta given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This direct verse, yeah.
Okay, so what is the connection between the first line and so first line is clear, Ek Krishna Nama Kare Sarva Papanash.
Right.
Very. How are we saying? Is this verse saying Premera Karana Bhakti Karena Prakash? So is it saying that the Eka Krishna Nam also gives Prema Bhakti?
Of course. Of course, I said, Shri Krishna, the first verse of Siksastakam is having 7 qualities of śrī-kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtanam, isn't it? And is śrī-kṛṣṇa-sankirtanam singular case or plural case? It is singular case.
Singular.
Yeah, singular case. So automatically that is the implication that one single name can not only destroy all sins, but it can also lead to attainment of Krishna Prem. Somebody has jaundice, doesn't feel like eating. A single medicine not only destroys jaundice but also produces the desire to eat, isn't it? So similarly, one Krishna Nam is sufficient to destroy all sins and awaken Shri Krishna Prem. In a single name, it can happen. But
okay,
yes.
But so okay, so if I'm very, very carefully understanding your words, it can happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to add that it can happen maybe in exceptional cases and according to the sweet will of Mahāprabhu, and many factors are there, but it may not happen, right?
Right.
And if we were to separate out those two objectives or those two goals or those two results, let's say attainment of prema and removal of all sins, is there obviously the attainment of prema comes later because that the removal of all sins is included in attainment of prema. So is it that it's not that either both of them occur always simultaneously? It may be possible because there are other verses like in Antya Lila chapter 3, the narration by Srila Haridas Thakur from 53, 54 verse to all the way to 60, where that verse is quoted from Shri Hari Bhakti Vilas about Vyavahita Nama and all the broken name and all that.
Sure.
In that section, Prema Bhakti is not mentioned. The whole section simply talks about removal of sinful reactions, and so does the Ajamil Pastime 6.2.
Yeah.
So this verse that you showed is fairly unique because it combines the two results. But
Right.
in other verses, it's only the removal of sinful baggage is mentioned. So that's why I was trying to understand that, do then both, based on this verse, both happen simultaneously, or it is, I mean, these two are two different results. It may certainly be possible that someone's sinful reactions are removed, but he has not developed prema bhakti or uttama, even uttama bhakti. It is conceivable.
All right. So this is not the only verse. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is another verse. अनायासे भवक्षय कृष्णेर सेवन एक कृष्ण नामेर फले पाई एतधन. Anayase, easily, bhavakshaya, removal of material existence, and krishnera sevan, and attainment of Krishna's service. Ek krishna namer phale pai etadhan. This result is attained as from one name of Krishna. You can read as a result of chanting Hare Krishna, one makes such great advancement that simultaneously his material existence terminates and simultaneously he receives love of Godhead. The holy name of Krishna is so powerful that chanting even one name, one very easily achieves these transcendental riches. Now, there are other verses which might say that these happen separately, that, sinful reactions are removed, and there may be verses which say prema is attained, and they may be speaking separately. But that's all right. Some verses may not include all the promised results. Some verses may just say removal of sinful reactions, but prema may be included in them as upalakshan, which may be prema, attainment of prema may be automatically included without being mentioned in them as upalakshan. So,
That was,
yeah, so in some places, some results are mentioned, in some places, all the results are mentioned. For example, somebody may say there may be famine in a kingdom, and somebody may say you just go glorify the king will help you. And somebody may say to a farmer, just go glorify the king will help you. When he actually goes to the king and glorifies the king not only helps the farmer, overcome the loss which he had, financial loss which he had, but also gives a big new mansion to the farmer. So at the time of actual practice, the result may increase depending on the particular practitioner. But the bare minimum results are given, promised in the verses. Some results may be mentioned, some results may not be directly mentioned. So that is the case.
okay. Sorry, this point is important to me. So I'll, maybe if you're okay with it, I'll ask clarification, since
Sure, why not?
I don't see anybody else on this planet who can give clarifications like you
There are
can.
many people who can do that.
I don't know.
Yeah, there are many people who can do that. But anyways, please continue. Yes.
I don't know those people, so you're the one I know. So I'll ask. So just to make sure I understand, you're saying that the in those verses where only the papakshaya is mentioned, or the removal of sins, papanashana, is mentioned, attaining uttama bhakti or even prema bhakti is included. It's just not mentioned.
Yeah, of
That's
course.
That's what I am taking away.
Yeah, of course. On a medicine packet, it might be written, this medicine removes jaundice. It may not be written that it increases your desire for eating. It rejuvenates your desire for eating food again. But after taking the medicine, after the sins are destroyed, after all of one's sins are destroyed, one doesn't have any aparads remaining, and the name has been taken in that particular manner. Of course, Krishna Prem is obviously, the Naam is obviously, going to give Krishna Prem. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also mentions something in Madhurya Kadambini, and this is very important. He says that although one Krishna Naam is supposed to give this particular prema, but usually it is not seen happening in most of the cases. He says because sometimes Krishna Naam behaves in such a way that prema arises as a fruit, and arising of the fruit takes some time. Therefore, although theoretically one Naam is sufficient to give instant prema and instant destruction of all sins, but in most cases it is seen that arising of prema and destruction of sinful activities takes some time. And I will share that particular section. It was Madhurya Kadambini or I think it was Raghavartma Chandrika or Madhurya Kadambini. One of them has mentioned this thing that yes. Yeah, I will share. I will try to find it, because even in the Upadeshamritam series, I had shown this particular. Yes, here it is. I'm sharing my screen. I found it. Yeah. He says, Kaishchitu nama kirtanadivatam bhaktanam prema linga adarshanena papa pravrityacha. Some people, when they see that others are chanting Bhagwan's name, but they don't develop prem and they still have some inclination towards sinful activity, na kevalam apradha kalpyate. Just immediately don't think that it is aparadh. So he says the conclusion is phalan api vriksha prayasha kala eva phalati. Itivat niraparadeshu prasidat api nama swaprasadam kala eva prakashayat. So just as a growing tree gives fruit only after a certain duration of time, similarly Shuddha Nam may also decide to give fruit after a certain duration of time and not immediately. So this is also, one understanding that in general case it will take some time, but theoretically it can happen in a single utterance of Sri Harinam. So just as a tree does not give fruit immediately, it takes some time. Similarly, prema does not arise immediately in most cases, it takes some time. Theoretically, it can also arise immediately. Usually, Prabhu, usually do trees take time to grow or do they grow immediately?
Take time.
They take time. In exceptional cases, there's a case when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu planted a toothpick in the ground and the tree arose immediately. So is that general case or special case?
Special.
That's a special case. In special cases, it may happen immediately. In general cases, it takes some time, and the removal of sins and development of prema may be seen as separate aspects in those cases. So that is the answer.
Okay, I have a follow-up. Maybe I can wait, or
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
We should probably go to someone else.
Yeah.
But it sounds like a summary is that all the benefits of chanting Hare Krishna can be had with one name.
Yeah.
That is usually an exceptional case. It usually takes time. And then when the scriptures are telling us about the glories of the holy name, they might not always mention every single potential benefit in every single verse.
Yes.
Sometimes they'll only mention one potential benefit, but that doesn't mean the other ones aren't there.
Yes.
They're just not being marketed in that particular message.
Yes, because the second verse is going to say, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. All potencies are invested in the names. And if we say that certain potencies are not invested and certain potencies are partially invested, then we are going against the second verse itself. We cannot go against the second verse. Therefore, our Siksastakam has to be such that should be no Purva Para Virodh. There should be no difference of opinion between what one verse is saying and what the other verse is saying.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next we have Harshil Gosar.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, very good to see you. Thank you for this wonderful class. So I think my question was answered, but I just wanted to just clarify. So can one devotee observe all these benefits that you just mentioned right now with Harinam before initiation, or is it necessary to be initiated?
You can begin chanting Harinam even without Diksha. You can begin chanting Harinam even without Diksha. There is a verse in the Padyavali, and it is also included in the Chaitanya Charitamrit. Akrishtihi krita chetasam sumanasam uchchatanam chamhasam achandalam amuka loka sulabho vashyascha moksha shriya no diksham. It does not depend on initiation. Means you beginning the chanting of Harinam does not depend on initiation. Commenting on this verse, because this verse is originally in the Padyavali, commentator Sri Veer Chandra Goswami, because he has written commentary on all the verses of Padyavali, says that yes, but for further attainment of higher stages of bhakti, you definitely need guru, you definitely need to receive the mantra from a guru. So that is definitely needed, because it is the guru's mood that the disciple imbibes. The bhav that one gets, the bhava and prema that one gets are from a guru. So a guru has to be present in order to make advancement on the path. But beginning the chanting of Harinam does not require Diksha. You can begin chanting Harinam even without Diksha. So that is easily possible.
Got it, Prabhu. Just a small sub question to it. So devotees which are not initiated, so if they chant ideally, what effects can they observe in chanting ideally?
If they are chanting with sincerity, the inclination to further advance on the path will naturally manifest within the heart, and this inclination will fructify in the form of attainment of a genuine guru.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Harshil Prabhu, did I say your name correctly? Harshil Gosar?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Next we have Mohit Deshmukh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danda Pranam.
My friends.
So my question is that the devotees who are practicing Smaran of Ashtayam Lila, do they continue to do Smaran even in their sleep, or just before sleeping, they do the Smaran of that particular Lila? For example, in Lakta Lila.
So there is no hard and fast rule in Smaran, because we can't make a vidhi out of this. It is the path of Smaran. Those who are very expert on the path of Smaran, they can remember even within their dreams, because they have so much Smaran of Shri Radhakrishna. It pervades their dreams. Those who may be beginners on the path, they are still, practicing, getting there. They are still refining aspects of their Smaran. Smaran is also a sadhan. It is also a cultivation. Smaran has to be cultivated. So, in traditional Gaudiya Vaishnava parivars, this Smaran Paddhati, the manuals of Smaran are given by the Guru to the disciple. The disciple is expected to memorize many sections of the manual, isn't it? So when the disciple memorizes many sections of the manual, and then it like a sugar cane keeps chewing upon it within his mind, then gradually it starts becoming internalized, and then the specific pastime at the specific point of time, it becomes more natural for that particular disciple. So there is a reason why these particular pastimes have been given according to time. First, the disciples understands them by the blessings of the Guru, studies them. Internalization happens later. You know how a cow eats. It is not one step. Have you seen how a cow eats?
Yes.
It is not one step eating. Cow eating, when a cow eats fodder, it is two-step eating. First, it just quickly takes it inside the mouth and it stores in a particular area. And then after that, when it is relaxing, then it takes it out again and then chews upon it further. So in Hindi, it is called jugali. Jugali means it is not one-step eating.
Prabhuji, sorry to interrupt. There's a word in English, rumination.
Rumination, perfect.
Yeah.
Rumination. So just as the cow ruminates upon the fodder, similarly, when the Guru teaches for the first time, the disciple just accepts as it is. Later, the disciple ruminates on what the Guru has taught. Rumination cannot happen in the first attempt. So rumination takes some time. So this is how disciples learn. First the Guru teaches, then the disciple ruminates upon it. And when the rumination becomes better and better, more refined, it becomes an internal part of your system. And then even within your sleep, you can remember.
Even in the deep sleep.
Of course, even in deep sleep is supposed to be one where there is no particular sensation at all. There is no feeling at all. So in most cases, because there are some verses where Vaishnavas have said that even in my deep sleep, I was reminded of Shri Krishna. But those are exceptions. In most cases, except for deep sleep, in all levels of sleep, you should be able to remember Shri Radha Krishna if you are mature enough in your practice. Right?
So by practicing and learning all these things, it is possible to do smaran of Shri Krishna
Smaran
24 hours.
Smaran is a practice. Just like Kirtan is a practice. Smaran is also a practice. But it has to be done under the guidance of the Guru. Right? Because some people are lazy. They say, I will only do Kirtan. Smaran has to come by itself. They say it has to come by itself. It means it will come by itself when the Guru will give instruction, and it will come from the Guru, but you have to be ready to accept it when it comes from the Guru. So
Yes.
this is very important to understand, that it's not that Smaran doesn't come as Shaktipat. You know what is Shaktipat? Guru keeps hand on the head and suddenly everything manifests. Generally, it doesn't happen like that. Generally, the Guru gives a manual, gives certain instructions, and then the disciple has to follow those instructions. This is how it has worked in the past, and this is how it works in the present, and it will work in the future. That is how it has to be accepted. Right?
Yes. Thank you.
Next, we have Abhay Vishvampara Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Am I audible?
Yeah.
No. Thank you very much for the wonderful class. It was really very detailed and really grateful for providing such information to us. Thank you very much. This is just a follow-up regarding Param Karuna's Prabhu's question. So, what I have heard, especially regarding regarding chanting of the holy names, in the Namabhas stage, this is what I've heard, that one can attain even mukti by Namabhas. So I was just thinking that maybe because of removal of all sinful activity, all sinful reactions, one attains mukti. So I was assuming that Namabhas itself is so powerful that one can even get liberation and maybe go to Vaikuntha planet. So that is what I was. That was my thinking. But can you please help me with this?
Right. So Namabhas can remove all sins. That is one thing. But just because all sins are removed, does it mean that all positive, pious activities are also removed? The answer is no. Right? The pious activities also have to go somewhere. If all of one's sins are removed, then what will happen to the pious activities? So the result of the pious activities still has to be received. So Namabhas can cause removal of all sins and removal of all pious activities, and it can, on top of that, it can also help you attain liberation. But these are separate, distinct stages. There was a king Nriga. Nriga, in 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, his pastime is there. Nriga, he had performed all pious activities but one negative activity. He had given a lot of charity and then one negative activity. He had made a mistake in giving one donation. After his death, he came face to face with Yamaraj. He said, I was not expecting to see you because I don't think I have done anything wrong. So Yamaraj said, well, there's one wrong thing that you did. Would you like to face the negative reaction first or all the heap of positive reaction first? So obviously, Nriga Maharaj wanted to face the small negative reaction first. So Yamaraj said, because of the one mistake you made in your life, you will be born as a monitor lizard in a well. And he was not very happy, but he said, but the result of all of your piety will be that you will come face to face with Shri Krishna. That will be the result of all of your piety. So Maharaj Nriga came face to face with Shri Krishna because he was born as a monitor lizard outside the boundary of Dwaraka in a well. And when the boys Samba, Pradyumna, Charu, Gada, they were playing, they found this monitor lizard in the well and they tried to bring it home as a pet, but they were not able to lift that lizard. They called Shri Krishna, their father. Shri Krishna used his left hand to lift up that lizard. By the time the lizard came up in the air, it had already regained a divine body. So this is, removal of sins is a separate thing. Exhaustion of piety is a separate thing. Those two are discussed separately in Shastra. Uttering Harinam destroys all sins, 100%. And what about the pious reactions? So if you have not yet attained prema, if you still have some material desires remaining, then Harinam may not decide to exhaust those particular pious reactions. It depends on what stage of advancement you are. Harinam gives that particular result, and Harinam also helps you improve to a higher level of advancement. Both things are possible. All right. So that is the answer to your query. Thank you.
Next, we have Vijayate Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So this is my last question. So my question is, during the Updeshamrit series, I remember there was something you mentioned, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in a song that he's saying that Mahaprabhu, when the Sankirtan goes late at night, he wakes up around after sunrise. But in this Leela, we are seeing that he's waking up at 3:36. So is this time different from that time, or what is it?
All days in the spiritual world are not the same. It's not that, they're all following a strict clock every day. It's not like that. Some days the kirtan goes late at night, very late at night. In those days, Mahaprabhu and the devotees wake up later in the morning. Usually, on other days, the kirtan goes up only till about 10 or 11 o'clock. And when usually 10 or 11 o'clock, Mahaprabhu returns home, or sometimes 9 or 10 o'clock, Mahaprabhu returns home, then has good rest and wakes up early morning. So, every day is not the same in the spiritual world, just as every day is not the same in the material world. The tendency of us living entities is to make the spiritual world also into some sort of a Vaidhi Bhakti sort of a pattern, where everybody has to wake up exactly at that same time. So that is not what happens in the spiritual world. Even when the gopis wake up at a specific time for seva, it is the inclination for seva that wakes them up, not fear. No fear of any repercussions that wake them up. And maybe on some days the gopis don't wake up at that particular point of time. So Vrinda Devi arranges whatever is missing. In the grand arrangement of things, everything is taken care of. Vrinda Devi can do anything and everything which others can do. But just for the sake of giving some seva, Vrinda Devi has delineated some seva to certain gopis. If on a certain day they are not able to wake up because they were too tired or exhausted from the previous night, no problem, Vrinda Devi will take care of that too. So Vrinda Devi in general takes care of whatever is lacking. She provides whatever is required. So yoga and kshema both are taken care of by Vrinda Devi in pastimes of Shri Krishna. There is absolutely nothing to worry, and no 2 days are exactly the same. Otherwise, you'll be stuck in an infinite loop where you're doing the same thing again and again, and the material world will start looking much better than the spiritual world. That should not happen. All right. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
And thank you for waiting, Ajay Prabhu. We appreciate your patience. I have a follow-up question about the notes, because we already discussed about how the fifth note isn't relative to another note, which could start in any arbitrary place from low to high frequency. In modern science, we have a objective, so quote unquote objective way to measure the frequency of sound by I think it's hertz, right? So how were they able at the time of Bhartamuni to establish a universal Shuddha? What was it relative to? How do we know it wasn't different, in one part of India or another over time?
Because the musical instrument that Bharat Muni describes in Natya Shastri also describes the musical instruments. Hare Krishna, can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So there is a separate chapter on musical instruments and how musical instruments are supposed to be made. Even today, there is a musical instrument, Tanpura, which can produce all the notes of Bharat Muni, because Tanpura, the swaras they move like a gradient, and in a piano they don't move like a gradient. There is a step shift, but in a Tanpura you can have a gradient like shift. So most singers prefer to sing with Tanpura instead of harmonium, because in harmonium or piano there is a step shift. It shifts like a step. In Tanpura it shifts like a smooth gradient. So you can get the exact swara that you are looking for in a Tanpura even today instead of a harmonium. Bharat Muni's time, the entire range of frequencies that human beings understand in songs, in music, he had plotted it down and divided it exactly into those 22 Shrutis. And that same logic was replicated. I showed that web page in which he brought back that mathematical formulation for Bharat Muni's calculations for Shrutis. So there is a range which includes human perception, and Bharat Muni has divided the 22 Shrutis according to that particular range. But that has to be, because this 22 Shrutis is such an emerging concept, he's still researching into it and bringing out that musical instrument. So only that particular person knows how he divided those 22 Shrutis, but he has explained it in his video. He has given a complete explanation of the entire range of frequencies of Bharat Muni, and I'll look up that particular video and I'll share in the Q&A group so that everybody who's interested in the topic of 22 Shrutis. Many years back, I had heard him speak. He is a scholar who stays in Pune, who used to stay in Pune nearby, but he bought back these 22 Shruti harmonium which replicates the Shrutis of Bharat Muni. But I will share it in the group so that the finer details which he is mentioning can be brought out in that particular video. Right?
Thank you. I'll definitely check out the video. It seems like to have a universal note, we'd have to be able to have something in nature that tells us what that note is.
Yes.
Just like sunrise.
Yeah.
Is something we can judge like the beginning of day by.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this could be anywhere. It's arbitrary where we start it.
So
what is it tuned to?
I'll share my screen. This is the videos he made. Can you see, Prabhu? Why are there 22 Shrutis? 22 Shrutis in he explained with the scientific. He's taken the modern day octave and explained. Yeah. So he has explained.
I'll look into it. It sounds like a complex topic. So
yeah. So I'll share I'll share this one. This first one is the one which he made, where he shows on a continuous scale how to play the 22 Shrutis. Right. So he shows on that range. Wow. And I'll share that video with you, and then he replicated it on a
yeah, looking forward to it.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Our next question is from Paraṁ Karuna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So I'm going to continue the previous chain of thought, Prabhuji. That's okay. So actually, based on the question by Abhay Prabhu, I forget his full name. Yeah. So I'm a little confused. You seemed to say to my question, the answer that the understanding you gave was that the results are always, or whenever they happen, but they are there, even though they may not be mentioned in a specific verse. But then when you were responding to Abhay Prabhu, you said that this removal of sinful reactions and then the removal of the pious reactions may happen in stages.
Right.
So please help me to understand a little better. It seemed, at least to me, that these two things, what you said, I understood that they happen simultaneously, but to him you meant to mention that some of the results are staged and not simultaneous. So I'm a little confused by that.
See, in Vedanta Sutras, there is a topic taken up about destruction of Pap and Punya. So in Vedanta Sutra, it is specified that usually it happens together. But in certain cases, because Nam is very independent, it may decide not to give the full result to a particular person. In your case also, I said that although all names have all potencies, can it not remove pious reactions also? Of course, it can also remove pious reactions. But will it remove pious reactions in every case? Answer is no. Because in Abhay Vishwambar Prabhu's answer, I said it depends on the mindset of the sadhaka. The mindset of the sadhaka is different, it will give a different result. Let's say somebody is chanting Bhagwan's Naam, but the mindset is not seva of Bhagwan. Why will Bhagwan's Naam forcibly give seva of Bhagwan to such a person? The most it can give is impersonal liberation. So it's not only based on what potential Naam has. It also is based on the container that one is holding in their hands to receive Naam. The container is having many terms and conditions. You will receive a result accordingly. So that is what.
Okay. Then the answer to the previous question I'm sorry, go ahead.
Parjanyavat. Bhagwan and Bhagwan's Naam are like rainfall. Does rainfall fall equally everywhere in a particular town? Yes. But same falling of rainfall, just at some places it gives rise to a cactus tree. Some places it gives rise to a lotus flower. Some places it gives rise to rice, basmati rice. Same water, everything is same, but the results are different because the recipient's container is different. So you can't have. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
The attitude of as you repeatedly say, that the result in bhakti depends on the attitude of the devotee or the practitioner. So what you're saying is that removal of sinful activities, removal of pious activities, attainment of uttama bhakti, attainment of prema bhakti, all of these could occur in a staged manner, or in other words, the results, the name has the power to grant all of these, no doubt.
Right.
I fully agree with that. Right. But for a specific sadhaka, the result that one obtains depends on his attitude or the container he's standing with.
Of course. Now I'll ask a few. Let's take 3 different candidates. Candidate 1 wants Uttama Bhakti but wants to see Swarga, heavenly planets first. Candidate 2 wants destruction of sin and wants impersonal liberation. Candidate 3 wants Uttama Bhakti and nothing but Uttama Bhakti. All 3 are chanting Mahamantra. Should they get the same result?
No, they will get the result as they desired.
So, yadrishi bhavana yasya siddhir bhavati tadrishi. We discussed,
Yes.
6 things that give result according to the faith of the person who is in contact with them. So in the previous session, I think previous to previous session, I had discussed 6 things which give result according to the mood of the practitioner. One of them was mantra. Deve tirthe tatha mantre daivagye bheshajay gurav. Yadrishi bhavana yasya siddhir bhavati tadrishi. So mantra, one of the elements was mantra. Mantra gives result according to the mood and nature of of the practitioner. It will not force the result upon any practitioner. That thing is for sure. But in exceptional situation, it may give a result which a particular person was not expecting. I hope you are able to understand. For example, in the case of that Yavan who chanted Haram, he was not expecting to get liberation, but that single utterance of Haram in an unexpected manner gave him liberation. But there is no instance of where Naam is giving a result against the will of the sadhaka. That is not to be found. You may get an unexpected result. You were not expecting it, but you got it. That's okay. But you were clearly against it and you got it. That is not going to happen. I hope you are able to understand.
Yes. This clarifies the doubt that came into my mind from Abhay Prabhu's discussion. So I have a separate question on the similar or follow-up, but I guess I'll wait for my turn.
Sure.
Next we have Mohit Deshmukh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So my question is regarding the verse in Harivat which you said that it is recommended to pray after the sunrise. So is there any reference for that?
Which verse?
like it is recommended to bathe after the sunrise. You mentioned that.
Oh, Hari Bhakti Vilas. You know, it in Hari Bhakti Vilas there is a mention of snan. Snan basically, snan is pratah kriya. Pratah kriya means morning, and usually in the morning after sunrise, snan is specified. So there are specific mentions in the Hari Bhakti Vilas about what to do when one gets up early in the morning, and that is about one chants Krishna Krishna iti, huh? And I think that it was specified in one of the previous Shikshashtakam talks on what to do on early morning rising. Chant Krishna 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 Hey. Early morning duties were specified, or oh no, sorry, they were not specified. I think in this series. Let me pull out that particular verse so that I will I will. It is easier to um, just a minute. Here it is. Huh. This is Hari Bhakti Vilas, 3rd chapter. I am sharing my screen with you, and Brahme Muhurte Chothaya Krishna Krishneti Kirtayan Athechan Paramam Shuddhim Murni Dhyatva Gurupada. In Brahma Muhurta, wake up and immediately start Kirtan. There is no bathing or anything. Krishna Krishna iti Kirtayan Athechan Paramam Shuddhim Murni Dhyatva Gurupada. And then if you want the highest cleansing, then in your mind think of touching the Guru's lotus feet, and then perform kirtan of Shri Krishna and smaran of Shri Krishna, and then utter the verse. Which verse? Jayati Janani Vaso Devaki Jano. So all these are specified in Hari Bhakti Vilas 3rd chapter, 3.20 onwards. I will try to find the exact reference. 3.20 onwards, Hari Bhakti Vilas is specifying, because the entire chapter is on Shaucha, and Shaucha means cleanliness. So what time the Shaucha has to be taken, what time one has to take bath. So that also has been specified there. But it is very clear, it is very clearly mentioned there that this Shaucha, see here, I am sharing my screen. Vibhakti Vilas. Can you read what is written here?
Pratah snan kala evoktam.
So Pratah Snana Kal. So Pratah Kal basically. Markandeya Purana. In the Markandeya Purana it is specified. Purvahana eva karyani. Purvahana means in the first half of the day you have to do it. After sunrise in the first half of the day you have to do it. So traditionally bathing is after sunrise. That I have told you. In the it is straight from the Hari Bhakti Vilas. That it is bathing is after sunrise. So it is clearly mentioned in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, because first is brushing your teeth, etc., washing your hands and feet, performing kirtan. But doesn't mean that you will use this in modern day to become lazy in your taking of bath. Today you have better
It's
facility.
about bath, but not waking up. I'm asking. Like, it's
Waking
about
up
taking
is
bath, right?
waking up is at 3:30 as Mahaprabhu wakes
Yes.
up. That is waking up. Right.
So we can just wash our feet and hands and then start with
Kirtan. But if the Guru has instructed that you should chant japa and you should take bath first, then you do as the Guru says. What the tradition says, that I have told you. Tradition says wake up, wash your hand and feet, and you can perform kirtan. For japa, for putting your hands on the beads, etc., you may require additional purification. And today the facilities are greater. You have hot water flowing in the home. So accordingly, you should ensure that sufficient purification is there. All right.
Correct.
Right.
Next we have Onkar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Dhanad Pranam. Guruji, I had this question long time back. I wanted to just clarify this point. You had explained about this thing, bathing after the sunrise, like in ancient time. and some other classes also. But where we see some important nitya karmas like Sandhya Vandan, etc., all these. So at least I'm not aware out of it, but they are specified that you have to do it in Brahma Muhurta, or there's some time span which is given. So if we go about with this explanation, I think we may go out of the time span where we are chanting our Gayatri and etc., all these things. So this thing was a little confusing for me.
All right. See, what is the exact time for chanting the first Sandhya? What is the exact time for chanting the first Sandhya? That is determined. How is that determined? Is it Brahma Muhurta? Or is it just before sunrise or during sunrise? What is the exact time?
I
Because
think,
please tell me.
I think there was something time given. I think 2 muhurtas before sunrise or something like that. I think there's a time span given, not just a exact. I think.
And is that a Sandhya or is that clearly night time?
It
Do
is
you see
night time.
Do you see the sun at that particular point of time?
No.
And the Gayatri has to be chanted while facing which entity?
Surya.
And if the Surya, if the sun is not yet manifest, where are you chanting your Gayatri? So definitely, since Gaudiya Vaishnavas wake up at 3:30, therefore in the early morning the Gayatri has been prescribed. Traditionally, Gayatri is done while facing the rising sun, while facing the
Yes.
noon sun, while facing the setting sun. Yeah, it is upasana, it is worship of sun god. And if the sun god is not manifest in front of you, whom are you worshipping? So obviously there have been some adjustments of the time of Gayatri, but traditionally Gayatri is at sunrise, noon, and sunset. That is what it is. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Next we have Parama Karuna Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for entertaining my questions so patiently. I really am very grateful to you. There aren't many teachers who will be so patient. They will begin to become impatient and begin to, get restless. I do not see even one inkling of that in your dealing with all devotees in answering questions, and I'm very grateful to you for that.
Hare
We need a teacher who can clarify doubts, who can answer questions. So, and naturally in your case, as we see, the Q&A sessions are probably double the time than your original presentation. So I thank you again for that. So Prabhuji, you had mentioned in the beginning, again, I'm going to summarize my understanding, and I would request your clarification if that understanding is correct or not, or any other expansion you can give on that. So in the beginning of the class, again, you had mentioned that taking that name very attentively, or what was the word you used? I forget, but that Shuddhanam, or that very pure name that is taken, does not come easily. It comes with a lot of time and practice. So I totally get that. However, the thing that I wanted to ask was, there is this famous verse in the Bhagavatam, Sanketyam Parihasyam Va Helanam Stobham Helanam Eva Va, 6.2.14.
Yeah.
And of course, I get that like from the previous answer, my understanding that I'm taking away is that it is an exceptional case in the case of Ajamil. There is the last verse of the same chapter which kind of reveals it all, or ties all the knots. What's the last line? Kim uta shraddhaya
Vaikuntanamagrahana sheshagham haram viduhu.
Yeah.
The last line is Kim uta shraddhaya grinan. Is that correct? 6.2 last.
Not for that particular verse. 6:249 Mriyamano Harer Nama Grinan Putropacharitam Ajamilopyagat Dhama Kimuta Shraddhaya Grinan.
Kim uta shraddhaya grinan.
Yes.
So I also understand that the instruction of the Shastra is to take the name not like Sanketyam or Parihasyam, but by Shraddha. However, again, just pressing a little bit on the power of the holy name, what I understand is that Sanketyam, Parihasyam, etc., is indicating the power of the name as its power. And even though the sadhaka's mood or the container, like you said, he's standing with, may not request a certain result, he may get it as an exception. And
Right.
that is what is indicated. But the more effective result is when we take it with Shraddha, when we actually stand with that container, asking
Right.
for that specific result.
Right.
Is that whole
Yeah.
understanding?
Not only Shraddha. Shraddha obviously includes full attention, but also sneha, also affection towards Bhagwan. Both are needed. And Naam is still independent to not give the result, because you cannot force Naam. Purnah Shuddho Nitya Mukto. Naam is eternally a liberated entity. And therefore you cannot force Naam to give a particular result just because you uttered in a certain mood. When Naam decides, it will definitely give. It may give immediately or it may give over a certain period of time. Srila Jiva Goswami says in Bhakti Sandarbha that modern day Vaishnavas are infected with various sorts of lack of Shraddha and various sorts of other shortcomings, due to which they are not able to see the result. In Bhakti Sandarbha, he says, Adhunika cha. You know what is the meaning of Adhunik, Prabhu?
Modern.
Modern. And modern Vaishnavas, Shruta Shastranam. Although they might have heard the Shastra. Aparadha doshena Bhagavati Shri Gurau Tad Bhaktadishu Chantaranadavapi Sati Bahistad Archanadi Arambha Kautilyam. So, they have this Kautilyam, they have this crookedness of heart, uh, towards Bhagavan, towards Shri Guru, towards other devotees. So, it is difficult for, he says, it is difficult for modern day Vaishnavas to get to that stage very easily. This is Srila Jiva Goswami in Bhakti Sandarbha. Anuched number, I will specify what is the Anuched number. Yeah, it is Anuched number 153. So, yes, 100%. It is theoretically possible. But where will we bring the simplicity and the mood that people, personalities like Sri Madhavendra Puri, Sri Ishwar Puri, etc. had? It's very difficult to bring that mood, because they had a very different mood and a very different mindset from many of the other sadhakas. And their mood, their mindset is what, made them such devotees. Our mood is different. So it will take some time. That is the answer.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for your patience. I mean, these verses like Sanketyam, Parihasyam Va, and Ekanama, somewhere I'm just expressing openly in public, may reveal my foolishness or my doubtfulness in this matter, but somewhere I feel that these verses make a person like me a little bit more relaxed or less serious with taking the name. Oh, the name is very merciful. Even if I take it in this way, no problem. To be able to understand that how important it is to take it with Shraddha. And of course, that's a loaded word, as you explained, but I'm just kind of referring to the Sneha Samkīrtanam and all. It's so important, and one should not get distracted or take it cheaply, or take it with that sense of casualness or chalta hai.
Right.
Because of these verses in the Shastra, that have been mentioned, somewhere I feel that to some extent, maybe I've been a victim of that. I don't know about others, but yeah, this discussion certainly helps to bring back the focus.
Yeah. See, the only thing ideally that a devotee should be requesting from Bhagwan's Naam is prema. And the destruction of sins, non-destructions of sins, whether I take a birth again or I don't take a birth again. My only request to Harinam ideally should be that please bestow prema. Please bestow prema. As soon as possible, please bestow prema. Because I'm not asking prema for the sake of my own selfish benefit. I'm not really looking for liberation or going back home, back to Godhead. What I'm looking for is prema. That feeling of intense belongingness to Bhagavan. That is all that I'm requesting from Krishna Nam. And that is the only, that result is the only result that I wish to attain. That is the ideal mood of a Gaudiya Vaishnava. And once you have your priorities set, and once you know what to ask from Sri Harinam, then we don't get into diversions like cutting off of sins, liberation, etc. The only one thing I have ever wanted from Prema, the very simple relationship from Naam. There's a very simple relationship that I have with Naam. That is, I am only requesting Naam for one thing, that is Krishna Prema. And other details can be figured out by Bhagwan. Of what time liberation has to be attained, or how many years I have to stay in the material world, or how many years I have to stay in the heavenly planets, or in earth, or on lower planets, or on planets of the demons, or etc. All of that Bhagwan can decide. But let me have prema. Even if I'm staying in Lanka, let me stay like Vibhishan stayed. That is very important. It's very important to have that.
Yeah, sure. So two things you mentioned. Yeah, definitely this aspect of other results of removal of sins and all. Most devotees, including myself, don't have. It's about the timeline of the attainment of the result. That is one. And the third aspect, so one is the which result. I'm good with that. The timeline, yes, whether one name, how long, etc. And the third aspect is the quality of the chanting as well, with intense focus and mantrartha chintanam, like you mentioned, kind of gets a little bit, if my mind diverts or deviates, the first verse that comes to my mind is Sanketyam Parihasyam Va. And I kind of, say, okay, Param Karuna Das, it's fine. Don't worry. The Naam will I take it easy.
Right.
That's the problem.
Okay. All right, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Next, we have a question from Rohini Nandan Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu, my pranams. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. Can you please throw some light on the importance of doing kirtan in different ragas per different times of day to facilitate Ashtayama Leelas?
Different kirtans have been composed by different Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and those kirtans are favorable to different yamas of the day. There is Ashtayam Kirtan that goes on in traditional Bengal, many traditional Bengali circles, Gaudiya Vaishnava circles. There is Ashtayam Kirtan, and they sing Kirtan according to a specific rag, because that rag is suitable for enhancing the mood of Shri Shri Radha Krishna who are listening to those particular songs. So simply for the sake of enhancement of the mood of Shri Shri Radha Krishna, those songs are sung in that particular rag. That is the only intention behind singing those rags. No other intention is there behind that. Only the pleasure of Bhagavan, that is the main intention behind singing of those rags. So that is the answer to the query.
Next we have Kaushal Gosar Prabhu.
Krishna Prabhu, pranams. Actually, my question was related to that only. which you answered to Taruna Prabhu. So
Correct.
the thing that you mentioned, that we shouldn't care for liberation and anything. I also remember in one of the lectures you mentioned we should adopt the mindset of Srila Rupa Goswami, that we should only accept mukti if it's favorable to say of Radha Krishna. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to understand how can we adopt that mindset, because I know it's going to take time and the process can be really fearful. So yeah, what baby steps we can take so that we can adopt to that mindset of Srila Rupa Goswami?
There is no practice in this. How do you adopt somebody's mindset? How do you replicate the mindset of somebody in your own life? There is no set process for that. A particular person has a particular mind because they have gone through a certain set of experiences. That's how their mind thinks. A particular person thinks in a particular way because they've had some experiences in the past. Sri Rupa Goswami, he has a particular mindset. He's met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's an eternal associate of Mahaprabhu. He has a certain mindset. But what we can pray certainly to Bhagavan is that please bring me to that level of realization that I may align with the mind, my mind may align with the mind of Srila Rupa Goswami. It's important to go through the experiences in order to appreciate the result. Just directly getting a copy-pasted version of the mindset without going through the experiences has no value or meaning whatsoever. You can only appreciate a particular mindset when you go through that certain set of experiences. And those set of experiences cannot be replicated by our own artificial effort. Sri Rupa Goswami went through a certain set of experiences, and Mahaprabhu came at the right time in his particular life. Although he's an eternal associate, but the Leela played out in this manner. So his mindset is that which is shown in his books. We can have a similar mindset. We can pray to Bhagavan to make our mind aligned with the mindset of Srila Rupa Goswami. And Srila Rupa Goswami also does not expect everybody to be a carbon copy of him. Everybody should have their own uniqueness and some variegatedness within them. Sri Rupa Goswami does not, being a Rupa Nuga, basically means that you follow the path given in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, and there are many roads given there: Dasya Ras, Sakhya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, Madhurya Ras. Being a Rupa Nuga means following the general guidelines of Srila Rupa Goswami. Does not mean that you have to align with each and every thought that he gives for each and every aspect, because your personality may be slightly different from his personality. But the major details should be the same. And those in order to align our mind with the major details of Srila Rupa Goswami's mind, we can always pray to Bhagavan to bring us to that same level of realization. But it cannot happen artificially.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you very much. So it means we have to follow their teachings, but at the same time, we have to have our own identity.
Yeah, of course you have to have you're living in 2025, not in 1525. You're living in a different part of the world, not in Sri Rupa Goswami's land. You're not living under the Mughal Empire. You're living under secular Indian government. So obviously the time is different, the circumstances are different, the persona is different. So it will require a completely different set of experiences to align with Sri Rupa Goswami's mindset. And you can pray to Bhagavan to bring those circumstances in your life so that your mindset also aligns with Srila Rupa Goswami's mindset. But in case there are certain variegatedness in your persona, it is no harm as long as you're following the broader Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. Right.
Okay, bro. Thank you very much. It was good change of perspective. Thank you very much.
So Hari Parshad Prabhu has put so much time and energy into preparing these classes and presenting them and answering all of our questions in great detail with a lot of patience and kindness. So I will invite you all to unmute and give a big thank you to him.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hari Parshad Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Srila Prabhupada
Hare
ki
Krishna.
jai.
Thank you.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
jai.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Srila
Stay
Prabhupada ki
blessed,
jai.
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you for your patience with my imperfect hosting.
Thank you, Dāmeśvara Mahāprabhu.
I'm very
Thank you
grateful.
so much.
Thank you, Hari Parshad Prabhu. We look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Dāmeśvara Prabhuji.
Take care. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.